Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it out. Tonight, we gonna let it out. Tonight, we gonna let it out. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it out. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it out. Tonight, we gonna let it out. Tonight, we gonna let it out. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it out.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome into tonight's live. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tanya, or you can call me Dum Dums today because I did buy the sweatshirt. I did get the sweatshirt just for Betty. So if you know anything about our friend Bullhorn Betty, she likes to call everybody a dum dum. So I went and I purchased the shirt. You can't see it though because all of my little banners are all up, but it has a picture of a cherry dum dum on there. Actually, just like stand up so you guys can see it. Five for 5 cents. Huh. Maybe they were. Maybe they used to be. But it's a good sweater. It's a good one. You're a dum dum as well, Aries. Did anybody watch the interview with Laura Lodge before we get started? Because this thing is like over 2 hours long. I'm going to speed it up. We're going to speed it up a little bit, but there was a lot of mistruths in there. Hey, Princess Elsa. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Mary Beth. Hey, Mr. Rosebud. Hey, Aries. Hey, Shelly. I figured we would talk about it a little bit. Michelle, welcome in. There was a lot of people in that chat. Hey, Thor. If you saw me, I was totally trolling that chat. That's what they would call me, a troll. But I really wasn't trolling. I just had a difference of an opinion. So I put my difference of an opinion in the chat. And I don't know. I would walk away. So if anyone ever says anything bad about me, I never know. So don't ever feel bad about it if you see it in a chat, because a lot of times I'll chat something and then I walk away. Like I'll just, I walk straight away from the chat as soon as I write in what I want to write in. So I actually I forgot to. Nope, I didn't. I pinned the link. So hey CJK, hey, so much for an announcement. I know it's kind of on there, wasn't I? I know. I don't normally watch Boar Lodge. I wasn't going to give him my view, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just go over it. Let's just go over it. It's been a while since we've touched on this case, since it's been, I don't know, a month or something. So tomorrow's a big day. I figured tonight's the night to do it. So, hey, Week Up Shit. Hey, Sizzin Sleuth. Welcome in. Hey, Pet a Mom of Two. Hey, Carrie. Australia. Oh, good to see you. FAFO, Toes Down. I like that name. Hey, Badger Witness. It's good to see everybody. This the breaks. I haven't seen you in a while. Are they still alive over there? At this point, I'm like, I don't even care. I usually care. Not tonight. Hey, Lucy. Hey, sis. You should have been a detective. How you doing? Hey, Chosen. Well, welcome in, everybody. You wasted your time. Yeah, I know. Hey, Heather. I stopped listening for about 5 minutes, and I went back to listening. You wanted announcements? Yeah, I knew we were going to get no announcements. Yes, he does speak with a forked tongue, CJK. Did you notice that too? I was in the bushes until I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. They were bashing SF. Yeah, in the beginning, I saw that. I was like, man, as soon as. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, I might have missed that then. I might have missed when they said something about Clue and QB, because I didn't hear that. Hey, Teresa. There is a case. Hey, Willow Tree. I like that name. My mom loved willow trees. They were her favorite. Hey, Shop Smart. You finished? Okay. Who is Bullhorn Buddy? Okay, we got a lot to explain. Hey, Cyber Warrior. Okay, so Bullhorn Betty is a creator on the platform that basically uses the backs of missing children or no children that are no longer alive to spew her content. That's basically to give you the rundown. She goes around with a bullhorn, gets in people's faces, thinks she's cute, thinks it's fun. She's like 40 some years old. She's been in with the law like a lot of times. So it was same old pretty much. That's what we got out of all of it. So basically there is a little boy. We haven't been following the case on this channel because it's just turned into a crapshoot. Like there's no other word about it. The only channels that are covering this case, they're not true crime channels anymore. They're all drama, drama channels. So that's why we kind of just stopped covering it on the channel. But there is a little boy out there. He's 16 years old. His name is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, and he is missing, and he needs to come home. And he has been missing ever since last February 25th, 26th, sometime in that area, because no one can decide which day he, actually just, went missing on. So I'm going to say the 25th, 26th, but he is 5'5", 120, and he's from Sumner County, Tennessee. And a lot of people have been going after his mom and his stepfather. I mean, they're gunning for him. So you have a handful of creators over here that are with the mom and the stepfather, and then you've got a handful of creators over here that are standing beside the father. Now, I don't think any of them are guilty by any means. I don't think that. I have my own thought on what I think happened that night with Sebastian, and my thought is he walked out of that door on his own accord. And that's just what I think. But since I think that way, I'm not the popular one, because I'm not going after another parent. So you'll see that in a lot of other chats. I try not to do it here, but Seth's own words has kind of gotten him into trouble. And then he goes on the Lore Lodge tonight and he's like, I'm going to go on the Lore Lodge and, we're going to correct the misinformation. But there was not one correction made tonight. It was all bad. It was all lies, in my opinion. Most of it was. Thank you, Mary Beth, for gifting out 5 memberships. That's so sweet of you. You just gifted out some. Well, welcome on in, everybody. They should and they could. Yeah. Yeah. And then Tony would not. Yeah. I saw you're like, can Seth speak? I'm like, can Seth speak, please? Because that's what we were really there to listen to, really. But to give you guys something to look forward to, there are some new, it looks like maybe like a new update in the Chief fans case that we were covering, the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm gonna have to go through it, but Nancy did something. I don't know. I don't know if it has to be something new if she puts something out on it, but I don't know. And then also Audra Cunningham. We went over that last week, but there is a new video on that as well. So maybe we'll go over that next couple of days. Well, thank you, Chai. I love this channel. We love you here too. So the date on the flyer actually changed. Yes, Shelly, I did. Okay. So we're going to go on to Twitter real quick. My whole thing is like nothing but Sebastian Rogers stuff, I feel like. Whose page was I going to look for? Oh yeah, I was going to look at SF's page because I think I don't know who to go with for. Okay, never mind. I don't know who to go to see who, if the flyer was changed, but it was changed. SF actually, he posted it on his Twitter. That's where I saw it today. So let me pull it up for you guys real quick so you can see the flyer and see what has changed. And let me actually pull up his. Let's see if we can find up another one. Okay, so this one. Okay. So they haven't changed it on their website yet. I don't think. Let me I'm trying to zoom in. It's not working for me. Okay, we're gonna get me a trackpad because I can't do it this way for some reason. Maybe if I do this. It's so blurry, but it does say 26 on this one. So it looks like they did change them. So this one that's on SS page, it says Sebastian Wainwright Rogers under the details was last seen on February 25th. And then if you go to this one I just pulled up on Google, it says the 26th. It's very hard to see because I had to like blow it up, but it looks like they did make a change on it. They just changed it to the 25th on here. Because that's when he was last seen. It was before midnight on the 25th. So I don't see the big deal in changing that. I think in the beginning of this case, it was a lot of people didn't know whether or not he really walked out the door the 25th or if he had something happen and, whatever happened on the 26th, after midnight. And I think that's where like a lot of the misinformation kind of happened. And yeah. So, okay. Let's go to Lore Lodge. Let's I'm going to try to play this at like 1.25 speed or 1.25 to see how fast that goes. And then if it's too fast, we'll stop. Looks like they might still be going. I'm not sure. Let me see. Okay, so I guess they get off of here. But then he keeps talking. Okay, well, I don't really care to hear what he has to say after Seth gets off of there, but just because it is such a long video. Okay. So I wish that the live chat would be loaded for us though, because that was priceless. That was priceless. So I do have it sped up a little bit. I'm going to pause it for commentary. We're going to pause it every time we hear something crazy. I wonder where Seth's glasses are tonight. He didn't wear his glasses, and I thought those were like an everyday thing for him. Not saying anything bad about it, just was curious.
Welcome back to another episode of the Lore Lodge, where we are actually, or the Lore Lab.
Oh, and the chat was already upset before the live even started because the live started so late. Like they were already like, start the live already. Is this live? Is it frozen? I was just like, oh my gosh.
I keep forgetting we changed the name of the show.
Oh yeah, and they're not called Lore Lodge anymore. They're called the Lore Lads. Must have been because he got a sidekick with him now.
Anyway, we are back here with another interview in the Sebastian Rogers case. And this time we have some of the people absolutely closest to it. People who are not, running around doing who knows what in California, pretending to be private investigators. And those are Tony.
SF has done more for this case, in my opinion, that we've seen than some of the main people that are in Sebastian's life.
Mathis and Seth Rogers. I'm honestly very excited to have you guys on tonight. This has been a conversation I've wanted to have for a while. And I think that one of the most important things we can do tonight is not only dissuade some of these rumors that have been going around, or at least clear them up, get to the bottom of them, but most importantly, we can bring this back around to Sebastian, because so much is floating around with rumor. So much of these random accusations, these weird things. I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter for a month who insist that, Seth, you are in fact the Candyman, and you've been stealing children, and you said it yourself, but all of the clips of it have been scrubbed from the internet. I'm using a vague fake example, but my point is, everybody keeps insisting that things have been said, things have been done, and then when it's time to present the evidence, as we gave Steve Fisher a chance to do when he came on the show, it doesn't materialize, and they claim it's been deleted. They claim it's, somewhere else. So I want to get to the bottom of some of these rumors. I want to hear it straight from the horse's
He never asked Steve for any proof of anything.
Mouth, because in most of these cases, they say that it's something that you yourself said, Seth, or that you said, Tony. But before we do that, I want to start off by allowing you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit, say who you are. Seth, obviously you're involved in the case because you are Sebastian's father, but Tony, you're not related to Sebastian at all, so why are you here? So if we can just, I guess, Seth, if you want to go.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
First and just, let us know who you are.
Seth Rogers, I'm Sebastian's father. Seem to be the only person that's, his parent, seem to be the only parent that's actively looking for him, trying to keep his name out there.
Was that necessary? When we all know we've seen Chris and Katie out there?
All right.
Trying to get people to look for him.
All right. Well, I mean, that's all I really need you to say. That's you're his dad. And
what was that?
As I can tell so far, and this is why I want to have some of these conversations tonight, is as far as I can tell, you have been on the hunt for this, right? For, basically since he went missing. And
since he was reported missing, I've been looking for my son.
Okay, so that's been the last year of your life, basically, has been trying to find this kid.
Trying to find my son, yes.
All right, and I want to get into some of the details about that a little bit more as we go into it. But first, I think that it's important that everybody knows who Tony is.
So I'm Tony Mathis. I'm an advocate, a friend, a brother to Seth Rogers. Technically, I'm his national spokesperson, but more.
National spokesperson? You're not a national spokesperson, Tony. No, you're not. Am I a national spokesperson then? Because I speak to the nation. I can speak to anybody. What? You're making your job sound like you've done more than what you've done, and you haven't done anything to help this man, in my opinion. You've done only things to hurt him.
More importantly, an advocate, a friend, and a brother.
And how'd you get involved in all this? How did you and Seth meet?
So we had a common creator friend that reached out to me and told me that Seth could use some help and some guidance. And when I initially got involved with Seth, I was simply trying to help him come up with a qualified search and rescue team. And it got
Yeah, see, listen to this. In the beginning, Tony didn't want nothing to do with Seth. National spokesperson, though.
to the point where Seth was reaching out on a daily basis and asking for advice on different things, predominantly interviews, media, things of that nature. And he started asking me if I would be his spokesperson. At the time, I was involved in another case, and I really wasn't interested in doing that. I told Seth that if he could figure out a
He was too busy stealing Caleb Harris's TikToks and stuff,
way to
and disseminating his unalived body around the people.
get united with the mom and the stepdad, that I might have a little more interest in being one voice for the entire family. So Seth gave that a very valiant attempt, and it didn't really work out. And it got to the point where I was out fishing one day on a Friday, and Seth called me and he said, "Brother," he said, "I'm drowning over here." And he said, I really, really need your help, and doesn't look like it's going to work with Chris and Katie. Could you please just help me? So
He didn't have a friend to call. He had to call Tony, going through the worst time of his life.
I agreed to help him. I think
That
it was
sucks.
right around the 1st of May of 24. And
Gotcha.
we've been attached at the hip ever since then.
All right. Yeah. I think that clears up some questions that I had, because that was one thing I was curious about. You and I had talked about it a little bit, but just, what was the connection here? How did you get involved? Why is this person here? Because there's a lot of questions out there, well, why is Tony always there? What qualifications does Tony have? Why is he involved? And at the end of the day, you've come out and you've basically been a rock. So as I understand.
A rock.
Definitely a person I can lean on.
Okay. So I think that
What did Tony do when he first came out here? Show the whole world what he was working with
Tony,
on a panel full of women.
just so I understand, there is no money being exchanged here. You're just here to do what you feel is right, correct?
Yeah, a couple things, Aiden. I would say I have a spreadsheet just for our family's benefit of what I spend when I volunteer to help a certain situation. And I told you on the phone, I think as of our last trip to Tennessee, my wife and I were a little over $17,000 into helping Seth. So not only is there not a financial gain, there's been a significant expense. And if my wife and I weren't helping Seth, we would be doing something else. We would be helping, kids' ball teams or something like that. So it's what we've done for the majority of our married lives. And an interesting thing that you and the other Aiden probably didn't know is that I had been representing Seth for about 2 months before I found out that he was born and raised about 15 minutes from me.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
we
just
actually
amazing.
grew up in the same community around a little town
Oh,
called Joplin,
wow.
Missouri.
Okay.
And he was in a little town called
Tell us again about you guys.
Riverton, Kansas, which was literally 15 minutes across the state line. So, we ate at the same restaurant there on Sundays. We shopped at the same Walmart, and it was kind of a neat
Went to
deal.
the same mall.
Yeah, shopped at the same mall, that kind of thing. Never crossed paths, but certainly lived right there close to each other.
Went to the same pools. Went to the same parks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can imagine that would definitely bring an extra level of comfort and security when going through a lot of this stuff, to know that at least, no matter what, you guys not only have each other in this scenario, but you can relate back to kind of your childhoods and have that kind of communal understanding.
Right. And, before you get into your questions, Aiden, one thing that I forgot to text you about is for anybody that has a question, Seth has not moved to Oklahoma. He's not moved out of his house. He's lived in the same house since 2020. He still drives the same pickup. We did a live when he came to my house. We invited him to spend a few days with our family, which has become his family over time. And, we wanted to go see some of the places that he grew up and where I grew up and let him meet our folks. And so we had him for a few days in Oklahoma over Christmas. And that was the extent of his big move to
Do grown people do that shit? Hold on. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to be mean. But as a single person, anybody that's single in the chat, do you go and stay with your buddy and their wife at their house? And I don't know. I just think that's a little just a little different.
Oklahoma.
All right. This is, I'm starting to sense a pattern here. In rumors.
Yeah,
I
the
hear,
pattern is they're always together, and it's a little weird.
and the reality of them. So speaking of funding, though, while we were kind of on that
But Seth and Katie, I'm sorry, but Chris and Katie can't have each other.
topic, I wanted to address that because that was one of the big things I saw going around. All of these claims that, there's this GoFundMe that the Proudfoots said they didn't want set up, and then that Seth, it materialized. And I don't want to say, I'm going to ask you guys who created it and all that, but the issue
It wasn't that Katie and Chris didn't want it set up. We all heard that the law enforcement said not to be doing that.
of the GoFundMe has been Proudfoots didn't want it.
And 2 days later,
They don't know where the money is going. And there are these claims out there that, Seth, you gave money from that GoFundMe to people for improper uses. So I wanted to
look at him. Look at him when he says that. Look at his face, because he is going to sit up here and lie like a rug. Watch his face when he says that. Watch Seth.
who created it and all that. But the issue of the GoFundMe has been Proudfoots didn't want it. They don't
That don't bother him.
know where the money is going. And
That
there
don't
are
bother
these
him.
claims out there that, Seth, you gave money from that GoFundMe to people for improper uses. So
Oh, and that got a reaction out of him.
I wanted to ask, when it comes to that, who started this GoFundMe?
My sister.
Your sister did? And were you aware that she was starting it, or did she just do it and then let you know?
She called me up. She was because she knew Sebastian was missing, and she was like, "Hey, do you want me to start your GoFundMe?" And I was like, "You can, just don't put Sebastian's name on it." Because there had been a previous conversation between me, Chris, and Katie, and Chris said, "We don't need a GoFundMe. That makes us look bad." And I don't know about anybody else, but this was my first time dealing with a missing child, and I knew that I was going to be looking for my son.
Yeah.
Let me jump in there.
But you started this 2 days after he went missing.
Aiden. He has a sister that lives in San Antonio.
We don't
and,
care.
She is a very good steward of money.
I mean, no offense.
She knew her brother well enough to know that he was going to be taking time off of work until he found his son. She did not need Chris or Katie's permission to help her brother. Maybe they didn't need a GoFundMe. Knowing what we know now, no more time than they spent looking for him. They didn't need a GoFundMe. Seth was planning on taking time off of work, and he was planning on searching for Sebastian until he found him.
But he didn't. He searched one time with JLR with the video camera.
Seth is he's not a
And I'm sorry, the one time for the photo op on the news station.
paycheck to
On the
paycheck
boat.
guy, but he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of extra money. He was very blessed. I think there was $24,000 to $25,000 raised in that account. The first couple of months,
Yeah, that account. But they don't mention the GoFund. They don't mention the Cash App, the Venmo, or the PayPals that were everybody was throwing them across their screens for him. He was getting hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars that way.
he had some coworkers
the
that
problem.
donated some
The problem isn't that you're getting money, it's that you're being dishonest about it.
PTO time to him, which they allowed them to do in the county.
Okay.
It amounted to about 23 days.
All right.
And then, there was probably a couple of month period after that where he
23
literally went with no
days?
income at all.
23 days? That's a pretty good amount of income.
So, Seth's, we're going to have to get personal tonight to dispel some of these rumors, and some of these
Right.
things we really didn't choose to get personal on regarding the mother, et cetera. But, he's about $4,000 or $5,000 a month it takes him to survive. So, if you go a couple of months without an income at all, there's $8,000 to $10,000 of that money.
Right.
You couple that with the fact that he was buying all of those signs; those were not donated. He put signs all over Hendersonville. He had 2 PIs working. One of them was pro bono. The other one
So he put the signs out in Hendersonville. So that wasn't Terry Lynn and her people.
was paid. He paid her to the tune of about $3,000. And he stretched that money all the way out to where even today there's still probably $1,000 in that account.
Okay.
So, you can imagine over time.
So how much did they just account for? Some flyers, 3,000 for the PI. There was 26,000 in that GoFundMe.
You know, we made a trip to Virginia that cost about $1,500 to chase down a lead. I mean, you know, he basically wore the tires off of his truck driving back and forth. He had truck problems. I mean, you know, and what we find interesting is that in every one of these missing children's cases, somebody always sets up a GoFundMe.
Right.
No,
And it's
no, absolutely not. No, not every children's case. Absolutely not. I can name some right off the top of my head.
it's become very normal. I mean, shoot, I'm even seeing GoFundMe set up for.
I mean, a lot of them were found unalive later on, but if you let me count the ways, Maddie Soto, Alder Cunningham, Quentin Simon, Elijah Vu. There's a lot of people that don't start a GoFundMe.
People that need help with their children's sports and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what I find ironic is that the people that understand what it takes to look for a missing child are not concerned about that.
No.
It's the people that are making money off of this child or making money off the drama surrounding the child that are asking the questions. And that's the irony of this.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are making money off of this are your cronies that you have spreading misinformation everywhere. And then you have the other side that likes, I mean, it's wrong on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I was a little,
Is he
I
dying?
definitely
Is
want to
he
hear,
okay?
you know, from the horse's mouth on that the money has been spent properly. And I do want to, you know, ask a couple more questions, but we went down to Tennessee back in November for a week, and it cost us like $3,500.
Huh. Why didn't you go help in the search for Sebastian Rogers? Because I didn't bring you money to your channel.
Yeah, minimum.
Just to go down and shoot a video.
Yeah.
I think people often don't realize, people who don't travel much, who don't do this kind of thing, don't realize how much you end up spending in a very short period of time on hotels and gas and food. And then when you add in signs to the mix and things like that, that cost can balloon into the thousands of dollars really quickly. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that, you know, 25 grand was spent on this. So what I wanted to ask as a follow-up is, I believe that from what I've seen, this originated from,
We all know better.
From Trevor Lee.
And it's Trevor Lee and T-Rev. There are two different creators. He calls them both he calls them Trevor Lee, T-Rev. This is how much research he's putting into this. Like, look at Seth's face. He even knows it's wrong.
That Steve spent on this. So what I wanted to ask as a follow-up is, I believe that from what I've seen, this originated from T-Rev, from Trevor Lee, that you had given some money to a person to pay rent or mortgage or something like that. Is that true? Did you send money to anybody from that account?
No.
Okay. So just off the bat, flat out denial.
Actually, T-Rev came out and cleared that up.
I saw somebody sent that to me just before the show.
Yeah. And said that it didn't happen.
Yeah, which leads me to wonder, where the hell did this story actually even come from?
Yeah, where would that come from then, huh?
Walking it back, like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it's
Is T-Rev walking back this story because he's trying to come back to the platform?
a rumor, and it's if something like that had happened, you would think that somebody would be able to come forward and say, yeah, here's the receipt from me being given the money, but we don't have that. So,
Well, and we actually have a process now that's in place. I would say right around July, after I'd been involved for a couple of months, we have kind of a checks and balances internally to where when Seth has a need, he will come to me and talk to me. And his sister and I, again, we have some common friends from back home. We've gotten to be really close. And I actually will go to his sister and talk to his sister about what the needs are after I agree that they're necessary. And then she will reach out to Seth, and essentially all three of us talk before $50 is sent to him.
So that's important. What
So you don't trust him with his own money? Hold on. So you can't trust Seth with a nickel and a dime, because Tony just said, I talk to his sister sometimes, and we talk before we even send him $5. That's a grown-ass man.
Seth, you are not the steward of this money?
No, sir.
Okay, so your sister is.
Yes.
All right. And was there any specific incident or a pattern, something like that, that led to a decision where there was kind of a committee whenever money needs to be spent? Or was that just kind of a natural development?
just developed. I mean, she's been in control of the GoFundMe since it was created.
All right. Yeah, that answers that.
But once it hit its limit, like it's like once it hit its like, you know, goal, you would think that you would withdraw the money out, right? You were just like withdrawing, I guess, like chunks of it at a time. And can you do that with GoFundMe? Like, can you just like take a little bit here, take a little bit there, like a bank?
So, you know, kind of moving along with
I don't
this,
know how it works.
Another one of the issues that I've seen commonly paraded around, and this one's going to be a little tough to discuss probably, but it's by far the most serious claim that's been made. And I want to preface this by saying that as far as I can tell, this has absolutely nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance and is entirely basically, you know, a claim about you, Seth. But you and Katie, you have had a relationship, and I don't mean a romantic relationship. I mean, you've known each other for a very long time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Since before you became romantically involved?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what was the nature of that relationship from the point that you met her up until the point where one or the other expressed romantic interest?
She was a babysitter for my fiance's aunt and uncle.
Okay. And were you living with that aunt and uncle?
When I
Katie was the babysitter to his aunt and uncle.
initially met, no.
Okay. So how old was she when you met her?
She was 12 or 13.
And you would have been 21? I'm just trying to do the math in my head here. 21, 22, somewhere about there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
12.
I met her because when I got off of work, I would go over to their house to watch the kids so that whoever's watching the kids could leave and go home.
Gotcha. So basically you were the relief shift.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So she would watch them up until you were finished with work, and then you'd come in and you would watch the kids after that, and she'd leave?
Yeah.
All right. And so, you know, what was obviously...
So Katie at the age of 12 was doing the same job that Seth Rogers was doing at the age of 20 some years old.
Being, you know, in your early 20s, 12-year-olds, there's not much you have in common, not many things to talk about. They're just there for a job. You know, what would you and Katie talk much? Would you hang out? Would she be there for another half hour after you got there? Or was it just you got home, she said, okay, bye, thanks, and then left?
I would go over there to start playing video games with the kids.
Okay. So not any sort of real
That's not an answer.
No.
Okay. So when then did you and her
So then how did you end up falling in love?
begin to become romantically involved?
After she turned 18.
Okay.
After she turned 18. That is not an answer. Did he say when or did he say how?
Or also a relationship with her at that point? She was just...
No.
Okay. So when then did you and her begin to become romantically involved?
When?
After she turned 18.
Okay. There are
I guess
also...
that could
I
be-
skipped this accidentally, but...
when he said when, I was assuming he meant like when in your relationship did you guys start, you know?
there were some people who were saying that you taught her to drive when she was 16. Is that true?
No, I taught her to drive when she was 19.
19?
Didn't he say that himself? That he taught her how to drive when she was 16?
Okay. So
I could have sworn he said that.
I'm just again wrapping my head around some of these rumors. There's a lot of them.
So
So
Aiden,
as
let
I
me-
understand it, then you met Katie when she was 12. You didn't really have any sort of relationship with her, and then around 18, something develops. So what led to that relationship developing?
I thought so.
She
How did you
turned
guys
18.
reconnect? I guess.
She moved out of her dad's house. I guess it was not a
So what? He was what, 28?
very friendly environment.
Okay.
And at that time, the aunt and uncle had got a place, and I was paying rent for my room there. And she moved in.
So you were renting a room with your former fiance at that point. Had you guys
Yeah.
broken up? So your former fiance, you were renting a room from her aunt and uncle, and then Katie, in order to escape a bad situation at home, moved in with them.
Correct.
And how old was she at that?
Whoa! I knew I heard that right during this live.
In order to say at that point, had you guys
Yeah.
broken up? So
So Seth was engaged prior,
your former fiance, you were renting a room from her aunt and uncle, and then
and he's renting a room from her aunt and uncle. Her aunt and uncle, his ex. It's his ex. Why would he be renting a room from her aunt and uncle is beyond me. But then again, I mean, Katie had to go out and get the job when Sebastian was born also too. So
Katie, in order to escape a bad situation at home, moved in with them.
Correct.
And how old was she at that time?
So she was trying to escape a situation at home that was very bad, which we all know what it is. So she goes to these people's house, and then she's going to get picked up by Seth Rogers. Oh, that's great.
After 18, she moved out of her dad's house after she turned 18.
Okay, so you and her did not live in the same place until after she was 18.
Correct.
Okay, and did you have any sort of friendship or anything like that between the time that you met her and she turned 18?
No. not
Gotcha. All right. So do you have any idea where these kinds of rumors might have come from? I mean, there's one where they said that you told her when she was 14 that you were going to marry her. Is there any basis to that? No.
So
Hmm.
Aiden, let me jump in here because
Aiden
there's some
was
more to
doing
the
a pretty
story and you're
decent
not
job
gonna
on
know
some of the
what to
questions.
ask. She turned 18 at her father's home, and which gave her the ability to move out of that home. She remained close to the aunt and uncle of his old fiance because she'd been their babysitter for a long time.
Mhm.
Seth remained close to them even after he and the fiance had broken up, obviously. So Katie moved in at 18 in an upstairs bedroom, and
Why is Tony telling her story?
she began to show some interest in Seth. And, it kind of broke my
Okay.
heart because I asked him if he was surprised when she showed the interest in him. And his response to me was, I was. And I said, why? And he said, because she could have had anybody she wanted. And I was surprised that she chose me.
Mhm.
And I said, well,
Way to embarrass your buddy here, Tony.
happened after that?
Putting
And
it
he
all
said,
out on the
well,
table
I
there.
told her that I wasn't interested back at the time. And I said, well, if you were surprised because you felt like she could have had anybody she wanted, then why were you not immediately interested back? And he said, well, she was in a relationship. And I said, okay, so she had a boyfriend? And he said, well, actually, she
She
had
was
2
18.
boyfriends.
She was 18.
And I said, what?
Mhm.
And he said,
Do you know how many little boyfriends I had at 18? It's not important. But it's not important how many little boyfriends I had. But I'm just telling you, like, when you're 18, you can date more than one person. It's called dating. You're dating people.
yeah, she had a boyfriend that was about her age. And she had another boyfriend that was older than I was that had a wife and 2 children.
Oh, jeez. Seth,
So
I would like to hear that from Katie.
not that I don't believe you, Tony, but just Seth, can you give me a nod or something if is he telling the truth?
He is.
I know this is a very difficult subject for you. That's why I'm not trying to press any. I just want to make sure that we're getting the corroboration here. And Tony, I do believe you.
But Seth giving the googly eye to a young girl while he is engaged isn't nothing to be brought up. We don't bring that up. We're just going to skim on over that one. Okay.
People are going to want to see it from Seth as well. So
I'm not trying to sling mud at anybody.
I know. So, but I did just want to get in the opportunity there for the sake of the audience. So Tony, if you want to continue.
well, and what Seth has a problem with is his MO has been not to come out and sling mud. But we've been put in a situation where in order to address some of these outlandish rumors, we've got to dig into the real facts. And unfortunately, the real facts are not pretty. So, we didn't choose this. None of this helps find Sebastian. But if we're going to lay all the cards out on the table, then, sometimes you have a 2 and 7 offsuit and the hand's not very pretty.
Yeah, I think just to add in there, it is unfortunate.
I think they came out to talk tonight. I don't know why they're talking tonight, really, but it's just weird that it's on the eve of this big court hearing that's going to be, this court hearing that's going to be taking place tomorrow between Barbecue, Granny, and Joseph Lesniak. Watch party.
Fortunate that we're in this situation, and I think the one way this does help find Sebastian and why we wanted to provide this scenario to help kind of clear the air a little bit on some of
Oh, and one other thing. If you have a lawyer and you're in litigation, like I'm including these 2 here, Tony and Seth, and your lawyer doesn't tell you to shut up and just don't talk about it until it's over with, and then we'll gloat and we'll do all the things then you might need to go check your lawyer. Because I've never heard a lawyer telling people to be talking. And look at these 2 just talking it up.
these things is because I think when people
Why is Seth looking in the camera like that? Has anyone else noticed that? He's like looking at the camera like
Get too wrapped up in these rumors, they start to put their focus in the wrong place.
Right,
They'll
Chosen?
focus in on people that are, unproductive locations to spend their time and their
Focus
energy.
will be on
Yeah,
Sebastian. Sebastian is the one missing.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And hopefully
Yeah.
through clearing the air from some of these questions, people will stop wasting their time in the wrong areas and get back to focusing on Sebastian.
Yeah, I think this is the conversation you and I have had. Is
if we focused on Sebastian, nobody will talk about Sebastian. Think about it. Think about it.
I think that
It's
I
sad to say.
understand
It's sad, but that's true.
that there's a lot of I understand that you don't want to sling any mud, and I think that's admirable, and I respect you for it. I just think that at the same
He's only been slinging mud for a year. He's exhausted. That's what it is. He's just exhausted from doing it.
time, there have been a lot of accusations sent your way, and in order to clear your own name, there may be times where you have to say things that it'll have to be left up to Katie to come out and respond to.
Well, and we're living in an alternative universe, like we talked about today, Aiden. You don't have to provide proof of the accusations, but you want proof from the person you're accusing that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
Yeah, you can't prove a negative. And that's I've seen a lot of that also as people have been demanding from me, well, prove he didn't say it. And I'm like, I asked you to prove he did. You can't ask me to prove he didn't. That's not how this works.
Right.
It's
We can show you proof of where he says
being
things.
so broadly on the internet. But now that we've kind of drilled through that, and I think that's cleared up a lot of your perspective on it and your history of it, Seth. I want to kind of fast forward a little bit through towards the end of your relationship with Katie, because I know I don't know what the details of your marriage were
Who cares about any of this? Really?
like, and I don't necessarily think that they're entirely relevant to Sebastian disappearing or to any of the rumors I've seen. But a lot of people accused me when we put out our series on the case, on the story and everything, of not looking hard enough at you. And one of the things we did really drill down into when we were looking at you was your divorce. And
They never looked at him.
It seems like all of these claims about you being, physically abusive to Sebastian came from. And as I looked through it, I read through the paperwork, what was available, and I saw a lot of claims made. I also saw the explanations you gave on several podcasts. The inciting incident, I guess, being this time when you were going to take Sebastian swimming and Sebastian wouldn't clean his room, and then there was a little bit of an argument between you and Sebastian. He ended up, for lack of a better term, throwing a tantrum, slipped. The way you told it was that he, if I'm not mistaken, is that he slipped on a Hot Wheel or something like that, started falling towards the door frame. You reached out to grab him. He ran downstairs and told Katie that you hit him. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So that obviously goes into the court record, and there is nothing that comes of it, from my understanding. There were no restrictions to your custody time, no supervised visits, nothing like that. It was just you and Katie each had custody of Sebastian, correct?
Yes.
So were these claims that you had hit Sebastian unfounded? Was
Yes.
Okay, so you had not hit him. This was something he told Katie. She had not witnessed you hitting him.
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood that.
That's what I was saying, Ladybug.
Another issue with that, I guess, there were a bunch of people who are saying that there are CPS claims against you. We know that there are at least 2 against Chris. I highlighted that in our series. That was something that was not disputable. He had also lied about how many there were. That was not in dispute. But in your case, you have categorically denied ever hitting Sebastian. So
yes.
These stories, were there ever CPS agents sent to your house?
There was one time in California. This was way before the divorce. Sebastian's room was 30.
It's not going to be any fault of Seth's.
And his bed needed to be made. I told him he needed to clean his room, make his bed, or I was going to beat his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and made his bed and cleaned his room. And then the next day he went to school. He told his teacher that I said I was going to beat his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you said.
CPS showed up at my house, spoke to them. They came into the house. They checked out his room. They checked out the fridge. They checked out the pantry. They made sure that there was food in the house and all that stuff. And they were like, well, this is what was said. And I told them, I accept that. I used the wrong verbiage with my son. It was to get him to clean his room, make his bed. I never had to do it. He did it. And we went back to doing what we do. Play video games, go
Wonder how old he was when that happened.
swimming, watch movies.
No, he didn't get to go swimming. Because if he didn't wake up and he wasn't ready in time to go, like he was supposed to have an internal alarm clock at his age, You would just say, "Oh, nope, we're not going now." Like 12 hours later, because he had no concept of time.
Any parent ever threatened to beat your ass for doing or not doing something?
Not mine.
Multiple times and none of it.
I'm sorry, but my parents never, not once, ever. When I was under the age of 10, say, "I'm going to beat your ass if you don't do something." Never. My mom cleaned my room for me whenever I was little. What are you talking about?
It was ever actually.
Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I was a little spoiled, but most parents, when they have young kids, they do help them make their bed and stuff like that. You're expecting him to make his bed, keep his room clean. I want to know how old he's supposed to be exactly doing all this.
Yeah.
5. I thought it was like 5 or 6. Yeah. That's like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it, but it's kind of like Ruby Frankie when her daughter didn't pack her school lunch. And she said, "Well, guess you ain't eating today then at school." That's what that reminds me of. I'm sorry, but and I'm not trying to be saying that Seth did anything about it to his son, because I don't think he did. But those are the vibes I'm getting when I hear that story.
I mean, I received the same threats.
Yes.
So.
But it's okay. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
It's California. I'm not surprised, but at the end of the day,
it's California. You're not surprised. What does that mean? My boyfriend's from California, never had a spanking, not once, not ever. What does that mean?
Well,
I don't think I.
I was spotless until I became. I was actually I'm a mess until I became a teen. Then I became spotless. I
know
was
a young man who did not have.
But I have pictures out. I will pull those pictures out to show you how messed up my room would get. It would be like toys to the ceiling. I mean, I don't even know how I could still play in this room. And my mom would take like 8 hours one day and just make it look so beautiful and brand new. But I was under the age of, I was like 6, 7, 8, you know? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be teaching your kid how to clean the room at that age, not expecting them to do it. Not expecting them to do it especially to your liking, I guess.
Threatened to beat his ass at some point.
Well, in the part of the country that we grew up in, which is Southwest Missouri, Southeast Kansas, it's considered the conservative Bible Belt, the Midwest, the 4 states.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't uncommon for your mom or your dad to say that. And, the translation there was, if you don't do that, whatever that is, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
It even as a kid, growing up, we didn't look at that as we were actually going to get our ass beat.
Yeah.
You're going to get grounded. You're going to get your bike taken away, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was never afraid of getting super
Well, we're living in a different time.
flexed onto the concrete. I was a
People
little worried
got
about a wooden
BPs
spoon,
now.
but
Fair.
that was about it. And that was more likely to come from probably my mom.
Yeah.
Very Italian.
Yeah, I was never in fear of being curb stomped, but
Yeah.
maybe like hit on the arm or something, sure. But that's
Exactly.
generally when, something was trying to be communicated that was not sinking in.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, it's also I was not aware that was before the divorce, so that's good to know as well. Speaking of these abuse claims, there is a claim going around that CPS said that you were borderline abusive.
No, that was actually stated by the judge during our divorce, because she stated that I was borderline abusive because I had dinner at 6, shower time at 7, bedtime at 8.
This was the judge.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'm gonna call bullshit on that. I'm sorry. I'm calling bullshit, because those are things that you do, like when your kids are little and they continue to do them as they are older. You instill those in kids when they're young, right? So Sebastian would still be instilled in those. He would still be going to bed early, getting up early, doing all the things that he's saying. No, Sebastian was at home 12 hours a night alone by himself. And he was awake because, to Seth's own words, he would bring him coffee in the morning. So Seth would come home from work, Sebastian would be awake making him coffee. Make that make sense.
You said that was borderline abusive.
The routine itself was so structured, it was borderline abusive.
You're going to say that about somebody that's in the military, that you have a routine and they're going to have a problem with it? I mean, I'm just like, what?
Okay, but this same judge did not impose any restrictions on your custody rights.
Correct.
But you gave me a look.
Oh no, I'm just shocked that the judge would consider that
That was
borderline abuse in
California.
California. Even still, considering that, like, I don't know, part of the thing that's coming into my mind right now is I just watched an episode of House where the entire point of the episode was a young boy who had mental difficulties, and the whole thing was the parents had quit their job in order to take care of him, and they had an extremely structured daily schedule because of what was benefiting him.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
so
what you do.
sometimes
And Seth was trying to uproot that by putting him in homeschooling and stuff.
people with special neurological needs might benefit from structure, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Shocking.
People with autism, they need structure. They need it. It helps them thrive. It helps it's overall what they have to have it. There's no like maybe we'll do it this day and not the next day. No, you need to be structured every day.
Shocking indeed.
I'm stunned.
And I'm stunned that in a state like California, they wouldn't, have maybe recognized that. But I don't know.
Well, it's California.
Yeah, fair enough.
Speaking of California, because a lot happened in
Why are
California.
you saying it like that?
You had said on, I believe, the Pascal show, and I think you also mentioned it on maybe Court TV or one of the local news stations, that and again, this is going to be a difficult one to talk about, and I understand that, but that something had happened.
Don't put it out then.
Sebastian, when he was, I believe, 7 or 8 years old, and an older boy who was around the age of 13, and that this resulted in Sebastian going into therapy, and this had its own.
Why are you apologizing to Seth when he's the one that brought it out?
Cascade of events. So, am I correct in saying that there was an incident wherein Chris and Katie allowed Sebastian to be alone with an older boy who committed an act of abuse against him?
Yes.
Okay. And was this child punished in any legal way?
No legal way. The only thing I was able to do was actually get the deputy sheriff that was involved in the case in contact with the psychologist that at the school that the child went to.
Okay.
So that way they could protect the rest of the children that he was in contact with, so that hopefully it wouldn't happen again.
But they had not pressed, Chris and Katie didn't press charges.
I was told that I couldn't press charges because of the age difference. Because this is what the deputy sheriff told me.
This was going to be the next question I asked you, if you want to go for it.
That the child was under the age to be prosecuted.
Okay.
What?
So the deputy told
That's
you the child was
not
under the age to be
even a
prosecuted.
Correct.
It's interesting because
He was too young to be prosecuted. I've never heard that in my life. There's 10-year-olds out there, 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds that have been prosecuted for murder, but not prosecuted for this.
following year, or not,
Let me
maybe
see
not
if I
following
can
year
get them
after
up
this
a little
happened.
more.
No, yeah, the following year after this happened, California passed a law that said even children under 12 could be prosecuted for the crimes that you described. So I'm not familiar with the California laws in 2017, but in 2018, they made a law that this was something that could be prosecuted for children as young as like 8 or 9, depending on the circumstances.
A late dollar short.
Yeah. So there's a statement you had made on another show where you had said you wanted to leave California because of the laws regarding a 10-year age difference. And this was taken by a lot of people to mean that you were, for some reason, upset that that people under a certain age couldn't be interacted with in certain ways. The way I read it when I saw the video was you were saying that you want to get out of California because they protect those kinds of abuses if the age gap is under 10 years.
Yeah. My son didn't get any type of justice for what happened to him.
No, if there was a 10 years difference, then he would have gotten prosecuted. This makes no damn sense right here. So was he too young or too old?
Yeah. And then California sort of made it worse by downgrading it from a felony to a misdemeanor, even if a 21-year-old and a 12-year-old have something happen.
That's just disgusting.
So I wanted to.
Just as disgusting if a 21 and a 12-year-old were to do something. Yeah, you're right, Seth. You're absolutely right.
I wanted to make sure that I understood it the way you meant it, because
you're
to me,
right.
it was very clear that you were talking about the fact that California does not protect children.
No, they don't.
So after this event, this is what I said, this had a cascade of effects. After this happened, I know Sebastian went into therapy, but you had expressed, I think, on the Pascal show back in March or April of last year that you were not satisfied with the therapy he was receiving, correct?
The lady that was his therapist was not properly trained in how to take care of a child that had been.
You don't have to say it. I think everybody understands what happened.
There's particular types of.
And I mean, how did I'm sorry to be so hard, but how did he know that she wasn't equipped to deal with it? I think that he just didn't like her.
training you have to have in order to help the child, and she didn't have it. And that really upset me, because you can't just go to a therapist and, if they don't have the proper training to help you get through something.
Yeah, as someone who's been through therapy, I understand. I was in therapy at the same age that Sebastian would have been for different reasons. I had some anger issues that I've mostly gotten under control.
Unless you're talking to flat earthers, but
unless I'm talking to flat earthers or several other subsets of people,
Yep.
Tartarians. But to get it back on track, this therapist that he was seeing, so this was not a child psychologist at all, or just not a child psychologist trained in those issues?
Trained in those issues.
Okay, but it was a child psychologist.
Yes.
Was this individual a private child psychologist, or related to the school, or related to Katie's work in the military?
Katie's working in the military.
Okay, so this was a military child psychologist.
Yes.
And this was these appointments happened on the naval base she worked at, correct?
The naval hospital.
Okay. So does that have anything to do with these claims that you were kicked off of a naval base?
Yes.
All right. Can you walk us through what happened there, and whether it was they came and put you in cuffs, or if they just told you, hey, you're not allowed in? What happened here?
Either way, it sucks.
I expressed my issues with her not doing what needed to be done for my son, and I received a phone call.
Gotcha. So you
Basically, he yelled at her and said, "You don't know how to do your damn job."
you weren't on base.
You
And a couple
tell.
of military police came and grabbed you. Came and grabbed you and escorted you off. You were sitting at home and you got a phone call.
Correct.
so it wasn't necessarily that you got kicked off. It was more that you were prohibited from coming on.
Your access was revoked.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Because when you tell somebody this person was kicked off of a military base, it paints
He
a certain
was.
picture in their head that people with guns and handcuffs came and grabbed this person and shoved him off and said, never come back here again. And this is more like somebody saying your parking permit has expired.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Your parking permit's expired? No. This was the naval base calling and saying, don't come back. You're not allowed to come back on our property. Are y'all hearing this shit? This is insanity. This is going to make my blood pressure go up.
Yes.
Well, and you also have to think, guys, I mean, there's certain things, right? There's certain thresholds that have to be met on a background check to be a crane operator, let's say. There's a higher threshold that has to be met to hold a badge that says deputy sheriff.
Right.
And if you're kicked off military bases, you're putting your hands on children. You're
I
putting
don't
your
think
hands on your
so.
wife, if any of that is
Well, to work at the jail? To work at the jail? Yeah, you probably need about the same as a crane operator. You probably can't have no past, felonies on your record, but you're a jailer. It's not like you're a deputy sheriff the way that he's making him out to be. He's not somebody that gets a gun, gets a badge, gets the whole nine, gets to pull people over. He is not one of those. He is a jailer. He goes in and he walks in at 2:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, and then at 7:00 in the morning, he calls you in for chow. He's the one that checks on you with the flashlight. That's what his job is.
actually documented. We're not talking about rumors. We're talking about reports, charges, etc.
Right.
Seth isn't going to be in the profession that he's in. I mean, at some point, you got to use a little common sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the kind of
Is he in a profession right now?
background, and that's the thing that I think people haven't really digested, is that
I thought he wasn't
in
going
order
back to
for
work
you to
until he
have that
found his
process, law
son.
enforcement would have to have failed at multiple stages to properly check your background.
Oh,
Because,
Tony
for
thinks
example,
he's
I assume
something
that as a law
else.
enforcement officer, you have a firearm.
No,
You don't?
not in the position that I'm in currently.
Right, because corrections.
'Cause I'm in, yeah.
But if you were to be assigned to patrol or something else,
Especially
they
for
would issue you a
kids.
firearm, correct?
Yes, sir.
As we are all well aware here,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot purchase a firearm if you have domestic abuse convictions on your record.
That is correct.
You cannot have a firearm if you have had certain kinds of mental breakdowns. The process to purchase a gun is a lot more stringent than a lot of people believe it to be.
If you've been convicted of any form of felony whatsoever,
Any form.
you cannot
Yeah,
purchase
you
firearms.
can't have
So domestic
felony.
abuse, I think permanent protective orders even. Yeah, I mean if you had a permanent protective order against you, maybe the laws are different in the state of Tennessee, but as far as I'm aware, being from Pennsylvania, if you have a permanent protective order against you, you cannot purchase it or own a firearm, correct?
That is
Correct.
correct.
So
I think even, I don't know about Tennessee, but I feel like even
Long guns and handguns have different rules, different stipulations for those. So they must be talking about handguns because you can own a long gun or a rifle.
even Pennsylvania now, I don't know if it's one or a certain number of even DUIs. Maybe you from ownership.
couldn't tell you. I think a certain number
I
of
don't even
DUIs
think
is
it's
a felony.
pay out. I don't even think it's to do paperwork on those.
Again, if there were any adjudicated offenses here, you would not be able to serve in the position you serve, and there would be a number of rights that would be denied to you that are not, correct?
Yes.
So I think that next kind of brings us to the Department of Corrections thing. One thing I saw today, somebody had asked a question, which was when you filled out they said that when you
Yes.
filled out your Department of Corrections application,
This right here got me. I was like, oh no, he didn't.
Your sheriff's department application,
Listen to this.
you had placed a former employer as Rogers Homestead of Family Values. And
On his freaking job application, you guys, when it said previous employer, who they're going to call, right? They're going to call that as your last reference. He put down Homestead of whatever his name is, Rogers Homestead of Family Values. He lied on his freaking job application. I'm sorry, but that's a lie. It's not operable. It's not charitable. It's not bringing in any kind of money. So you didn't work there. Just like I can't say that I worked on this sandal all year. That was my job. Go call that sandal. Like that's really, I mean, do you guys get what I'm saying here? Like you can't just put, like that would be like me putting my own business. Call me. Call Poppy and Ari. I did such good work for this company, Poppy and Ari, and you should just call them and talk to their store manager. Hello, like who's going to answer? Homestead Family Values over there, Seth. You?
And that you had also told the sheriff's department that you.
So not only did Seth or Chris help him get the job, but then he lied on the application about where he used to work because he didn't have a job. He didn't want to put that.
Could not.
And he couldn't put the pizza place that he used to work at because, you know, he got fired probably from that after that little incident. He probably couldn't really call them anymore.
That they could not contact that employer. Is that correct?
No.
So you did not tell them they could not contact this employer.
No.
But you did list that as an employer.
Yes.
Okay. What is Rogers Homestead of Family Values?
It's a nonprofit foundation that I've been working on
And what is the goal?
He's been working on.
to help
You've been working on it for 15 years?
special needs families and children.
So would this be a workshop? Would this be a retreat center? What are we looking at in your vision?
In my vision, people would come out and stay for a week or two using animal therapy to help the children, and people that are on site to sit there and give therapeutic conversation, therapist-wise, to help not just the parents and the child, but the children because when parents have children, maybe one of them is special needs, one of them is autistic, and the other one is not. Mm-hmm. Or you have two or three, and sometimes people forget about the children that are not autistic because mom and dad are now dealing with the autistic child, trying to make sure they have the correct structure, things like that. And the other children get forgotten about. Yeah. And it's to bring the whole family back in. When Sebastian was going to school in Kansas, they used animal therapy. And I saw the difference with my son when they started using animal therapy with him. Mm-hmm. And he reacted so positively with that was just something that I think that they should do more of.
Right. And I don't know if I think I told you this, but my little brother is also autistic, around the same age, a couple years older than Sebastian. But you know,
we all know somebody that knows somebody that's autistic. Okay, we all get it.
I saw a lot of similarities when I was looking at the two of them, and it doesn't surprise me at all that Sebastian would have had a good relationship with animals.
I mean, he loves animals. I mean, his favorite's cat, but he really likes his reptiles. He liked his horses. He liked the ducks. You know, and conversations with him, he was talking about being a vet. You know, there's nothing better than, you know, taking care of your own animals.
Right. So this I guess the best way to refer to it would be a retreat center. This retreat center, is this an idea that you had after moving to Tennessee, or was this something that was in the works beforehand?
Both.
So
like, you see how Tony slipped in there?
Well, I started in California. Yeah. I had discussed it with Katie, and she didn't.
So one night when they're probably having pillow talk, he's probably like, oh, I should start this 5013 or 501c or whatever. And that's probably how it started. It was probably one of those, she didn't think he was serious because, I mean, how's he going to fund it? And that's when it was just planted a seed in his mind. And then he's going to say that he just, you know, but we're not going to get any background on this. What's your business plan? Tell us your business plan.
Really, she didn't see the point of it. And I had discussed it with Sebastian, and Sebastian liked the idea.
She didn't see the point in it because she knew that she had to put a roof over her and her son's head, and a charitable, you not having a job isn't helping.
Well,
a charity ain't going to help when you need the charity.
That I have to my autistic child is talking to my son, and he thought it was a great idea, so I went with it. It's for him, anyways.
So where did
you
this
ask
get to in the stages of development?
When did he ask Sebastian that? Like, how old was Sebastian when he asked him that? Was he Like, is this? I don't. I just think this is all very strange.
in California.
Got the name, was working on getting the 501c and spoken to several people to put them on the board.
Mhm.
And then the divorce happened.
Okay, so it was the divorce
So you talk to people to put them on the board, but you don't have a job to pay those people. So how are we going to pay the people that you're putting on the board
that kind of brought this to an end in its California iteration.
if he wasn't working?
Yes.
Okay, and then when you came back to Tennessee, or when you came to Tennessee, I guess I should say, I looked up the filing date on the LLC, and it said it was May 9th, 2024. Is that correct?
I'd have to
Or just
speak to
generally-
my attorney, but yeah,
Generally the right timeline?
yes.
Actually, Aiden, I spoke to the attorney today, and
Why are you
plans to
talking
get
to
this
Seth's
going
attorney?
were done before Sebastian went missing.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Was
Yeah, they sparked the conversation up about it again in the winter of 23. The filing didn't get done by the attorney till May. She was unsure as to whether it was going to be a subchapter S or subchapter C corporation. But as it sits now,
Oh, this is a line of bullshit. He's trying to say, oh, it would have been done in 2023 before Sebastian went missing. But I talked to the lawyer today, and by the time they got it all figured out and said and done, it's going to be of May of 2024. The same month that Tony comes in?
of 23.
my next question was
Yeah, they sparked the conversation up about it again in the winter of 23.
Who's they?
The filing didn't get done by the attorney till May. She was unsure as to whether it was going to be a subchapter S or subchapter C corporation. But as it sits now, it's
Seth couldn't tell her that?
just a reserved entity. It's still not a 501c3 status, whether it be the California entity. Honestly, it's been a dream, right? The dream has not come to reality. The California version nor the Tennessee version they've never had property. There's never been a dollar go into it or come out of it other than what
Well, thank you, Tony, for saying something
it's
truthful.
costed to try to get a reservation of namesake. These are just
That's $100.
companies that he tried to get in
5
place and
minutes.
reserved, and then at some point you go find somebody that may be willing to help with some property, but unfortunately they've never got to that point, and it's just a company.
Right.
And then eventually you go to somebody and ask if they want to give you some property. You know where he's going to go to ask those people, right? His YouTube channel.
yeah. So I mean that makes complete sense to me.
I'm calling it.
We want to do something later on, and we want to make sure we've got the name and that we're properly registered and everything. And that because at the end of the day, you get into a position to do something, and the filing takes time, and you got to wait for the state to get back to you. And sometimes it's good to just have it there and then go get it when you need it because it doesn't take that much money to form one of these things.
And sometimes
Isn't it just like forming a business? Took me all of an hour.
you get a little bit ahead of yourself, and you get the ball rolling, and then suddenly a year later you haven't started the thing that you were intending to.
We understand this very well.
Yeah.
We in the same boat. We want to start a production company. We got the LLC filed, and we haven't done anything with it because just too much is going on. Just because it exists doesn't mean that money is coming in.
Please don't start a
Doesn't mean it's
production
doing
company.
anything. So damn, there was one on the tip of my tongue. Something I wanted to ask about. And it's gone now. Hang on, I have a list.
Seth isn't allowed to talk for himself, I don't think, Michelle.
I have a list for this.
Seth needs a babysitter.
There it is. Oh, and it went away again. Here we go. Yes. So, yeah, there we go. That's what it was. So this is a bit of a topic shift, but Sebastian played online games, to my understanding, at your house. Seth?
Under my account, yeah.
Yes, but Chris and Katie said that at their house he did not have access to the internet. Is that?
Okay.
Would you say that's true?
I know he didn't have access on his phone.
Okay, so was that he didn't have a cellular data plan, or that he didn't have, or that they had parental controls? Do you have any idea what that was?
They had parental controls locked out on his phone.
All right. So as far as Chris and Katie are concerned, he did not have access to the internet at their house, and he only could text a select few people from his phone. So there was probably no way he could have contacted anyone from their house, correct?
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
At your house, and there's been some hubbub about this, were there any restrictions of the same kind? Did he have access to his own computer, his own tablet, PlayStation, anything like that under his own username?
No.
Okay. So
Oh my. Okay. I'm sorry. Is Seth Rogers wearing a Britney Spears headset right now? The one with the mic. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. The headset with the mic is that what he's wearing? Man. The Britney Spears headset with the microphone that hangs down. Now that's for somebody that's just so busy they need their hands free,
And yeah, let me rephrase that. on the PlayStation, everything's under my name.
Okay.
He has his laptop that he uses for school.
Okay.
What he used during COVID-19.
All right. And would that go back and forth between the houses?
No.
That's
Katie wouldn't let him bring his laptop from there to here, which is fine. I went and got him a laptop for him to use for school here.
Right, because he would need a laptop for school.
So he had free reign of the internet on the laptop.
Yeah, he's currently 16, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I have my number straight. So on this laptop, did he have restricted access to the internet, unrestricted access to the internet, parental controls?
He had parental controls, the email address that he would log in.
We used to tease my best friend. We used to tease her boyfriend about wearing those headsets because he would play his video games and she was pregnant, and she would get so mad at him because she was pregnant, and he would be playing video games. That's why it kind of made me giggle calling it a Britney Spears headset. That's why.
And it would
Yeah, I can.
tag to me to my email address because his email address was a child.
I already have it boosted up 320%. So that's probably why I'm coming on loud too.
Email address.
Okay.
So anything and everything that he did, I got an email with everything that he logged into and did.
Okay. And did you have access to anything that came in and out of that email?
Everything.
All right. And when it came to internet browsing, were there any restrictions on that, or did he have open access to the internet?
He had open access, but everything that came to was apps that he was using for school and to log into the school classes. That's all he did.
So you could see what he was searching online.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, just for my own sake, because I might want to look into what the program was, because it might be relevant. Do you remember what program it was for the parental controls?
No.
You don't? Okay. That's understandable.
I mean, he had a Google email address, and all the apps that were on there were literally, he would have to log into the school class in order to log into any of the gaming apps for there.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Because the gaming apps, literally, he would do that and he would get credit at school for playing those games because it was like math questions, word questions.
He had to go through the school firewall, Aiden.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just writing that down.
Yeah, I had a similar situation with my laptop in high school where, we were able to bring it home from school, and it wasn't like our laptops that we bought. It was, school provided, but it was the same thing. It was like you logged in with your school login information, and due to the way they set up the user interface on those laptops, you only had access to certain things that essentially the school allowed you to have access.
Yeah. I didn't have quite the same situation, but my parents did have like one of those parental control apps on it. Didn't actually like control what I did, but it did report back to them on anything that happened on that laptop. So it was very robust parental controls. And that was probably, 2012.
Yep.
I could limit his access if he was on for too long.
Mhm.
It had a time limit on there that I could set for him. Everything.
Sure. Were there, when he would be playing video games though, I'd say it was not something on that laptop, but because I assume he wasn't playing like Call of Duty or anything on that laptop.
No.
Okay. Were there any non-school related games that he could play on that laptop?
There's none that he did.
Okay. So because you could see all of it, correct? So when it came to PlayStation,
Mhm.
did he play any? You said he played online games under your account.
Mhm.
Did he have a way to speak to anybody? Also, really quickly, what model of PlayStation is this?
It's a Darth Vader edition PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 4. Okay, because one thing that people had said was, oh well, the PlayStation 5 controller has a built-in speaker microphone. And I was like, I don't think it was a PlayStation 5. So I'm glad that's cleared up because from what I understand, he did not have a way to communicate. You said he didn't have a headset to me when we talked earlier, right?
Right.
So was it one thing I did want to ask because there were.
So what about
times that
Taco?
he had stayed home at your place and you were at work. I understand these were times when you either couldn't get off of work or that he came over during the week for some reason. Would these have been at times where he would have had access to the internet through the PlayStation, where he could have gone and got your headset? Would there have been any way he could have communicated with somebody else via the PlayStation network or via a chat lobby while you weren't home?
No, because I had one pair of headphones and I literally they were in my room. I'm wearing them now, and there was so much dust on these things.
So you could tell they hadn't been picked up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, me and my son had an understanding. You don't come into my room unless I invite you into my room.
Okay.
And your room, I will go into whenever I want to.
Reasonable.
I was gonna say that sounds like a father-son relationship.
Sounds just about right to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, he would never, unless I asked him to go into my room, he wouldn't do that.
So this incident that you had talked about on another occasion where he was complaining that the other people in the game weren't listening to him, that he was telling them things, calling out enemies and stuff like that, but nobody was listening to him, nobody was talking to him. Was that because he didn't have headphones in?
Well, that was on my phone.
Okay.
And I have the volume and everything. So that way I don't listen to anybody when I'm playing on my phone.
Right.
Because people don't listen to follow directions anyways. Look at what we're doing. We're correcting rumors.
Yeah.
Because people hear what they want to hear.
Mhm.
And
We hear what you tell us.
they can't hear you.
Yeah. So you just had voice chat off?
Yeah.
Oh. Which means it doesn't matter if you went to put headphones in. Like,
Correct.
Voice chat's off. And I will say that I had a feeling when I first heard that little bit of the discussion that this was probably an issue more of people commenting and not having familiarity with video games than it was an issue of you saying things that were inaccurate or that you were changing up your story. It sounds to me more like people don't understand how video games work. They hear you say that he was talking to the other players, but they weren't hearing him, and it doesn't occur to them that he might not have the ability to chat with them via the settings. So, not entirely surprised about that.
Of course, they can't hear you.
Let me go through. There was another one I wanted to get to because there it is. That's what it was. Was this laptop? Was it a true laptop? Like I don't know if you can see the one we've got sitting over here, but like a flip up and down laptop, or was this like a Microsoft Surface kind of deal where it was more of a tablet?
Law enforcement took his tablet that he had.
So he had a separate tablet and laptop.
Yeah, his grandma had given him a tablet for Christmas, and that was 21, and he never used it. Like when I had to find the charger for it. They plugged it in. It took like 15 minutes before it started even registering a charge.
Gotcha.
And they literally turned it on. It was like, oh, this hasn't been turned on since 2021. And I'm like, well, that's because he's never owned it. As for his laptop,
you know that's what he did. You know that's what Sebastian did too. The first chance he got to go in his dad's room without his dad there, he did it. He did it. Every kid, if you tell them not to go somewhere, they're going to go there. Do you know what I mean? Like they're literally, don't go in my room. I'm allowed to go in your room though. Like what kind of privacy is that? You expect privacy, but you're not going to give privacy. A grown boy needs his privacy anyway.
Laptop that he used for school, but he would come over for a weekend and he would never use it. Like when law enforcement showed up, I showed it to him, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want that."
All right. So law enforcement did not want the laptop.
No.
Did they take the tablet?
They did take the tablet that was in his room.
Where are we
They
at
took
now?
the tablet he didn't use, but not the laptop he did use.
Now, it could be the fact
which grandmother gave him the tablet?
he's only got one.
He's only got one grandmother. Is that well? I guess my question was: is that your mother?
My
or
mother.
Katie's? Okay.
My mother. Yeah, he's not supposed to have contact.
I mean, he technically has two grandmothers though. That's not, I mean,
With Katie's mother, she's not supposed to have contact with children at all.
Gotcha. Why is that? Is that because of what Katie's childhood was like?
Yes.
Okay. Does Katie still have contact with her mother?
You'd have to ask her.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if that had been something that you would have known while you were married with her.
Oh, while we were married? No.
Gotcha.
She had no contact when she decided that she was going to divorce me. Then she started having contact with her.
Gotcha.
And then I found out that my son was having contact with this.
So Katie's okay. That's important. You're telling me Katie's mother is this an adjudicated thing that she's not supposed to be around children, or is this a Tony? You're nodding your head. Yes.
Yes.
State mandated.
State mandated, and yet Katie was allowing her mother, who has a directive from the state not to be around children or contact children. Katie was allowing them to communicate.
Let me clarify that, Aiden. What was happening is Katie's mother's.
Be right back.
Sure.
Katie's mother's mother, which would be Katie's grandmother, which would be Sebastian's great grandmother, lived kind of in the same property. They had different structures, but it was all part of the same property.
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Oh, I'm still screen recording. Damn it. Okay, not anymore. I screen recorded this live just in case. But he's going to come. Okay, do you remember when Crabtree first came out on the scene and he told those 3 lies? There was something about they knew what happened to Sebastian, the cops, that they already knew what was going on and they were going to be getting into it. The second lie, I can't remember, but the third lie was that Sebastian had talked to his grandmother that morning and told her how good his breakfast was. Does anybody else remember that lie? I do, because Tony made Stephen Crabtree come out here and spread the lie. Crabtree's the one who spreaded that in the beginning, and he's been apologizing for it ever since. Well, I'm going to ask Crabtree right now, are you the one who spread that lie? Because Tony comes up here and acts like it's truth again. Like it's truth, but it's like, no, wait, that was debunked. So I'm going to let you hear it while I'm trying to get to this source.
And we know this because we've seen the property. We've been there. What would happen is Sebastian, if you remember Katie talking about Sebastian FaceTiming his family members about his pancakes that morning. Do you remember that?
Yes.
What would happen is he would FaceTime his great grandmother, who he could legally have contact with, and she would take the phone over and allow her daughter, which was Sebastian's grandmother, to talk to him on FaceTime, so that there was no digital trail of her talking to Sebastian.
That's premeditated.
Oh, well, of course. And we found out that was going on from one of the family members.
Uh-huh. Do the police know about this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So they're
Yeah.
they're
We,
aware.
we've given them the information. We had several family members come forward and tell us that, cousins, et cetera, tell us
Naomi.
that the great grandmother would take the FaceTime phone over to her daughter, and the grandmother would have, lengthy conversations with Sebastian.
So the morning that Sebastian,
Yeah.
the morning before Sebastian disappeared, I guess.
Yep.
I am understanding that the 25th of February, 2024, Sebastian's day started with him coming downstairs, his mom making breakfast, which, based on her statement,
There's no stairs.
this was not something she commonly did, making pancakes, in fact, then having him call the grandmother he wasn't supposed to
I'm sure she cooked for him every day. Breakfast.
have contact with to brag, whatever that means. They then spend all day doing a bunch of Sebastian's favorite things.
But that wasn't true. Tony told Crabtree that story so that Crabtree would come out and tell it.
And then Sebastian disappears.
And that's not doing
Correct.
all of it.
I'm-
What kid? Raise your hand if y'all got a 15-year-old, 16-year-old boy that wants to go hang out at freaking Costco on a weekend, like when he could be playing his video games. I'll wait. I don't even want to go to Costco. Everything that Joe Maudry, they kept saying little things like that tonight. It was like, you don't even know what case this is yet. Tony don't know nothing. He don't even know any peen slips.
I'm not saying that I'm using her making the comment that he loved to FaceTime his family members,
Mhm.
and he FaceTimed family members that morning. We don't know whether he FaceTimed her
Okay.
that
gotcha.
morning or not. Just to be
You
clear,
just said he
but
did.
we know that on a regular basis, he would FaceTime the great grandmother. She would take the phone over to her daughter, and they would have conversation.
How do you know
I was
that?
going to say, if it played
How you know that?
out the way I just described it, I was going to have a whole nother set of suspicions.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I just want to confirm is
Well, you understand why we went to Virginia now, right?
Yeah.
yes, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But just to confirm for the audience's
So why did you go to Virginia to go snoop on Katie's mother? Y'all are weird.
sake, where were you guys able to kind of confirm that information that these phone conversations with the great grandmother and then subsequently the grandmother were happening?
Well, I think at some point Sebastian actually told Seth.
Tony, 1 second. We were married when Katie's grandfather passed on, and
Listen
I
to
wasn't
this.
allowed to go.
The funeral?
As a
Who?
to the funeral.
Okay.
Katie would not buy me a ticket to go back to Virginia.
Katie's family member dies. Katie takes her and Sebastian back to go to the funeral. She can't afford Seth too. And he's going to say, well, she didn't buy me a ticket to go.
With her and Sebastian, and I was forced to stay in California.
Mhm.
While she was there, I called to speak to Sebastian, and I was screamed and yelled at. I'm having dinner with my dad. He is at home with my grandma,
Mhm.
and I called, and she was like, "You already have the number." I was like, "I need the number because the number you gave me is not working."
Mhm.
And she gave me the number. I called. Her grandmother answered the phone. I was like, "I'm calling to speak to my son," and Sebastian got on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?"
Mhm.
He was like, "I'm watching TV." I was like, "Who's all at the house?" And he told me Grandma Susie and Grandma Francis. And as soon as he told me that, I told him, "Go to the living room, watch TV. I will call you back shortly."
Mhm.
And I turned around and I contacted Chesapeake PD to do a welfare check on my son because he's not supposed to be around a particular person, and yet he's sitting there calling her Grandma Francis, which tells me that he knows who she is
Mhm.
and he's interacting with her.
Can I ask what year this was? Or how old Sebastian was? If you recall? I guess was this closer to the divorce or closer to the marriage?
This was close to the divorce. So
So like mid 2010s probably.
I think her grandpa passed on in 2015.
Didn't even-
2016.
Okay, gotcha.
But man, he really needed to go to that funeral.
So very close to the divorce in that case.
Yep.
Yeah, she had already filed.
She had already filed at that point.
She'd already filed divorce.
She had already told me she wanted a divorce. I don't believe she had filed, but that was the last straw for her.
Gotcha.
When she called me up, "You sent the cops to my grandma's house." I was like, "You have our son around somebody that's not supposed to be around children."
So
So
I mean,
I
I
went
find
there,
that
call it, do a welfare check.
I find that very interesting. That the final straw was her putting Sebastian in a potentially dangerous situation.
For her.
You, yeah,
For her. it was the final straw.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like
I
for
call
her, it
the
was the final.
police because you're putting him in a situation he should never have been in.
Yeah,
And it seems to be something that has continually happened until my son is now missing.
I'm sorry, Seth. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I don't mean to cause any pain. I'm trying.
I think that Katie did a lot for Sebastian to make sure that he had a great life. That's just me.
to understand.
It's not your fault. There's a lot of things there's a lot of stuff I don't understand. I don't understand why a mother wouldn't put her children in danger.
I know.
You know, Aiden, what's rough here is
Well, I don't understand why, a father would leave his son that is supposed to be like so needing on people. Why would you leave your son at home by himself for 12 hours while you're at work? Like, I mean, the same things that you say about Katie can be said about you. And that's what I don't like about this case, because Seth's the one out here actually talking the crap. Katie's not. And then people say stuff, well, she's not out here talking. That makes her a bad mom. I wouldn't be out here talking to you guys either. Or me. And I sure as hell wouldn't be talking to nobody on that green team.
we have 287 pages of family counseling reports that are not protected. We've been asked not to share the details of
Seth,
those.
if you need to step away, you can step away.
But I can tell you that it's very tough on Seth Rogers to have looked through those reports and through the CPS reports and to be on a platform having to defend himself. That's tough.
I don't.
It's just unfortunate that the entire scenario has led to this.
Tony, don't talk down to these two guys like you're somebody. They're giving you their stupid 600,000 plus subscriber platform. Just take it and shut it.
Where this
You were able to spew your lies out to 6,000 people all at once tonight.
story has drifted so far away from finding Sebastian that this is necessary to regroup people.
It's not
just as a reminder for anyone
necessary.
watching the whole
This is absolutely unnecessary. They're Aiden number 2.
whole reason that we're going through all of this is because at the end of the day, we are frustrated, as I'm sure only a fraction of how frustrated Seth is about how far away from the point of all of this it has gotten.
Like, I mean, the fact that we're sitting here having to waste an hour debunking rumors that never really had any basis to begin with.
Yeah.
I bet you Sebastian be real fucking proud right now, I bet he'd be real proud. Real proud.
Because a few drama channels on YouTube can't stop. They just
a
love the
few?
$1,500 a month.
A few? You're in it. If you don't see him in it, he's in it on Twitter. Go to Twitter. He's all up in it. This little Aiden guy, he can't get enough of it. That's why he's still doing it. That's why he's on Twitter and he's all over my Twitter and I don't even follow the guy. He's saying this person's wrong and this person's wrong and that person's wrong, but he's right.
That much. Yep.
We've got some questions that we would love to send you to ask Katie when she comes on the show.
Yeah, when she comes on the show.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm sure that the mother and father would love to both take advantage of a platform this size to
I wouldn't go on your stupid ass platform if you paid me $100,000.
clear up any misinformation and bring awareness to their missing child, right?
Yeah, I would think that considering you guys are here right now, I mean, I'll be the first to say, I know Chris probably hates my guts, but
Chris probably doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care who you are. Oh my God. Why do you think these people actually would really care who you people are? You're not their real life. Their real life, their son's missing. You are a flat earther. No offense to the other flat earthers out there. But that's what this guy does on his channel. So for him to be talking true crime is just weird to me.
at the same time, I haven't seen him come out and even attempt to deny or debunk anything.
Well, you would think that
we said.
if
Why would he have to deny or debunk anything?
you are wrong, that, as Tony's saying, that it would benefit him
Exactly.
to
That's
come
what I
on
need.
and disprove that to help find Sebastian.
That's what I need. I mean, I just
It
I
would
just had
not
this
benefit him.
investigator come on and treated him kindly until he decided to go on a Twitter tirade claiming that we were unfair to him.
Well, and think about this. I mean, you have their representative come on, which an equal playing field there would have been for me to come on.
Representative like that, you're the one that showed us your dick there, Tony. Come on now, let's get real with it. Let's get real with it, you guys. This is getting ridiculous. Are we just going to forget about the time that he flung his freaking male parts out in front of 4 women? Or how about the time that Seth was on Brittany J's panel acting like he's whacking off? And Betty, and then there's Betty, the main dum-dum. She's the one that every innuendo is a sexual innuendo. What is up with you people? What is up with you people and making it all about that? I don't understand y'all, but y'all are gross.
On in response, correct?
Yeah.
Well, we won up that and we brought the father on.
And that's what I was going to say is everybody's always asking, why does Tony always have to be there? Why can't Seth take an interview on his own? And I'm sitting here like, where's Katie Proudfoot? She hasn't taken an interview on her own once.
Yes, she has. Yes, she fucking has. She did it with the little guy from the little A&E PD show, whatever it's called, live PD or whatever. So shut your mouth, Aiden and Aiden. You don't know what you're talking about.
Not one time, to my knowledge, unless
She has.
I'm missing something major.
You are missing something. You're missing something major. It's called your brain.
Chris, and then something was just Chris.
You let SF come on and be on there with her, right?
Oh yeah,
100%.
I don't think SF will want to do that though. He did not handle realizing that he admitted to a whole bunch of things very well. My favorite was indeed him telling everybody he was in contact with the TBI and with Sumner County Sheriff and all of that, and then him just brazenly admitting on our show that the law enforcement contact he had was search and rescue a county over.
Yeah. Well, the
guy.
The entertaining thing to me was all the things that he said on Twitter after the fact. That if anybody watched the podcast would know that he just completely contradicted himself. But again, I think we're getting a little off the point.
Yeah, we are.
Which is
let's get
Thanks, Aiden.
let's get back to this.
Number two.
If
Not
we're
you,
to
Tony.
believe what Chris and Katie say, which there's a certain subset of people that believe what they say.
I believe
Chris
him.
and Katie's own words, Seth is a great father, his biggest cheerleader, etc.
We're not hating on Seth for his parenting. We're waiting a little bit. Yeah. We're hating on him for his words.
That's their words. That's not ours. That's theirs.
I don't think that he's I don't think he did anything to his son per se. But do I think he's a good person? Not a fat chance in hell.
So if we're going to believe what they say, then you have to believe that.
And I can have an
they
opinion.
believed at some point until this got crazy that he was a good father.
I mean,
I never
the
did.
thing was, oh no, we have a great co-parenting relationship.
Never. I mean, I
they
never
would
thought
have
he
been
was like
considering
not
having
lying.
Sebastian live with him full time if they didn't consider him capable of good care.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I've brought that point up a number of times, and nobody's ever really been able to confront it. It's always, well, if all these things about Seth are true, and they knew these things were true, it was abusive of them to allow him to go live with Seth, was it not? And every time I get to that question, it's crickets.
Yeah. Well, just to
No matter how
clarify,
you slice it.
there was a discussion between.
Well, no, I think all the parents have done some jacked up things, including letting Sebastian go and live with Seth. I still don't think that was supposed to be longer than a summer.
Them supposedly, as far as we're aware, to have Seth take full custody. Was there not?
There was.
So,
and I'm glad.
Not full
I'm glad
custody. Katie would not give out. No mother's going to give full custody of her child away.
Back,
I'm
especially
sorry,
when
but
it
no.
happened. Seth, I want to get a little bit closer to the event.
also, really quick before we dive into anything else, are you okay? Like, are you willing to continue to do a little bit more of this?
Yeah, but I would really like to get back to talking about Sebastian.
That's
This is supposed to
what
be
I'm
about
doing.
him.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, he must have went and smoked a little because he's calmer now. Okay, because now he's like, we got to get back to Sebastian. Not Katie anymore. Okay.
That's what I'm getting us to right now.
I mean, I'm going through hell, but I don't know what my son is going through. You got 600,000 subscribers. Dude, I told you the reason I came on here. I don't care about clearing up stupid shit.
I know.
I won't. It's
That's what that's what clearing the air with Seth Rogers. That's what his title is.
reaching more people to get more people to be looking for Sebastian.
Mhm.
That's all I care about.
Nobody on your green team is looking for your son. I hate to break it to you. Not one of them people are putting out missing flyers. They're not getting up out of their bed. That's why they don't even come on camera. And if they do, they're in bed.
That's what I want to do, and that's why I wanted to dispel some of these things, is so that we can finally stop talking about rumors and about nonsense and get back to focusing on the missing child here. Because people like Illuminati and Queen Bee, I mean, those drama YouTubers out there who keep digging everything up so they can talk about it day in and day out and do absolutely nothing to help find this kid.
No.
I know.
Brittany feeds off of whatever Queen Bee does for her morning stream. That's what Brittany's doing for her night stream. And it's a rotation and it's a clock. So you better start learning your creators there. Maybe he doesn't know who she is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we should let him know.
Illuminati.
They came by my house, taking pictures of my front yard, taking pictures of my truck. Why didn't they stop?
Oh, but that was okay for them to do all that for Chris and Katie. To Chris and Katie. Okay.
Ring the doorbell. I got flyers and stuff. I'd have given them some flyers to hand out. You gonna come?
I know.
My son is missing. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is missing, and I need everybody to be looking for him. If you see him, just call 911.
I'm already wearing it, Mary Beth. Where you been?
Let law enforcement handle it. Don't be scared about reaching to him or anything like that. Just call 911 and let them deal with it.
Right. And I think
and if you have a tip, please call it into Sumner County. Please call it into TBI. Call it into FBI. They're not going to get back with you. And if you feel that you need to, reach out to Dog. Reach out. I have my own that's out there. Any tip.
Reach out to my Google Voice. Sure, just anybody can start a tip line.
That's given to Dog will get to me.
Okay. So I do want to get back talking about Sebastian. I just want to get that stuff out of the way first. I'm sorry that we had to go through it.
This whole conversation has not been about Sebastian. None of it.
I genuinely am. But I think when it comes to the actual disappearance, can you tell us what Sebastian's what his home life with the Proudfoots was like? Did you know anything? Was this because the story they're running with and that they've been running with the whole time is that Sebastian walked out that front door and they think one day he's going to walk right back. So do you think he would have run away?
No, they never said that. They never said that they don't think that he's going to walk back in one of these days.
Let's use some constructive thinking here. All right, the person leaves their house. They're either they leave on their own. They walk out the front door. Nonchalant. They're not being forced out. They're not running for their life. They're going to have shoes on. They're going to pack a bag. They're going to take the things that they like. In Sebastian's case, it would have been his phone, his switch. He would have had his coat. He would have probably put on his boots because I just bought those for him. He's the one that took an hour and a half to figure out what size he was going to wear, what size fit him, what fit comfortably. He would probably wear his boots.
And were you able to see the home after he disappeared, and were you able to account for all of his shoes?
I saw the boots that I bought him, and I saw the tennis shoes that Katie bought him, and I saw his old pair. So
he only had 3 pairs of shoes?
And his slides were in his room.
Okay, so all the shoes you were aware he owned were still in the home?
Correct.
Okay. And as we know, not a single scent dog traced him leaving that house.
That's what was told to me by law enforcement.
Right.
Now, if he had left that house, if it was a flight or fight, when you're put in a situation, if he had ran out that house, he would have ran out to the middle of the street. Every camera that was out there would have picked him up.
Yeah. SF showed us the camera angles.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I've been through several PIs in the last year. And if you notice any of my PIs that went on social media aren't my PIs anymore. I have a PI local that's on this case right now. And they're not going to go on social media. PIs that go on social media are not private.
Yeah. That's why you're public.
Y'all are stupid. It means they're privately retained from a person. They're privately retained. It doesn't mean they got to be private and they can't tell nobody anything. You guys really need to do some. I'm about to be over this shit for the night.
PIs that I did have on the case that are no longer on the case. Turn around.
I watched this one. I don't know if I can do the whole one again.
Law enforcement didn't even bother to tell me that they did until afterwards, and I'm like, well, why are you giving it to them? I'm the one that's paying you. They're not. I should have everything.
So
before you give it to them.
Oh yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. I forgot.
After I go through it,
right,
to see if there's anything.
So they withheld investigative information and data from you, even though you had hired them.
Yes. It was a lot of unprofessionalism that I did not approve of trying to find my son.
And one of those PIs
is Steve Fisher's old partner.
That
as he was very happy to tell us.
So,
Yes.
let alone
There's nothing wrong with Heather Cohen.
the scenario that you're in as a father, but I can only imagine the compounding of frustration that has been going on in your life, dealing not only, forget all the public stuff that you've had to deal with, but the fact that even on a personal level, these different instances of just borderline obstruction for you trying to find your child have occurred.
What about for Katie and Chris? And why is your friend over there texting on his cell phone? That's real professional.
Well, I mean, here's the biggest injustice, right? Worst time in his life. He meets a girl that he thinks has interest in him. They start dating. He gets the CPS reports sent to him in his email.
Still hasn't taken his eyes off that phone, and we're at 1.5 the speed.
You have conversations with somebody that's laying down next to you, and you're actually having not hello talk, but you're actually having conversations, deep conversations, and then you find out that
Seth's over here, Laura Lodge.
everything that they said was a lie. I was married for a long time, divorced, didn't care to find another significant other. I have things to do called taking care of my son.
Mhm.
And now I'm looking for him, and this person comes along, and it's like, oh, well, we're really fucked up. Excuse my language.
You're okay.
This is a real messed up time in my life, but maybe God put somebody here to help me in my time.
Mhm.
And it was just the devil playing.
So the man falls asleep. She gets in his phone. She emails the CPS reports to herself,
This is Michelle Cleveland, correct?
Michaela.
Michaela Cleveland.
And then the CPS reports end up with other creators,
Mhm.
which is why he had to send the first round of cease and desist out, because he had a legal obligation to keep those private.
And these CPS reports, who were they against?
Well, they were filed with Katie because she was the custodial parent,
Mhm.
but they involved
That household.
that household.
So
yeah.
I guess what I'm asking is, were these CPS claims against you, Seth?
No.
Okay. So the only actual CPS visits we have are the one to you in California. And this was while you and Katie were married. And this had to
Yes.
do with Sebastian saying that you said you were going to beat his ass.
Yes.
These other CPS reports, those were involving the Proudfoot household.
Yes.
Okay. And because one thing I saw was, I think it was a screenshot of the cease and desist or something. I didn't look too closely at it. I was just looking at, okay, I'm going to probably ask about this anyway. One of them said that you felt that these CPS reports were being used as leverage against you, or something to that effect. That you were, and people were asking, well, what is in these CPS reports that Seth is so worried about?
The reason that the cease and desist were done by my attorney
Mhm.
was to show the court system and CPS that I did not have any communication or affiliation with the people. So if they came out with the CPS reports, CPS and the state can take it up with them, and it clears up the fact that I have nothing to do with them.
So
He
yeah,
had a legal obligation to mitigate damages.
right. Yeah, I think that makes complete sense. I guess one other thing that I was wondering, and this is more to do with Sebastian and the situation after he went missing. But on the Pascal show back in, again, I think it was March or April, you had said that Chris approached you, or you had approached Chris. There was a conversation that occurred where Chris told you something along the lines of, if people found out about such and such thing Sebastian said or did, they would want to stop. They wouldn't want to look for him.
Correct.
Do you know what Chris was talking about?
I did.
All right. Is it something that Sebastian did or something that happened to him?
Something that Sebastian was supposedly doing.
Okay. Did this involve anyone other than Sebastian?
No.
Okay. So it was just Sebastian.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that.
I'm trying. The main question I had was that there were some accusations that had to do with
He
Chris's daughter or
basically-
something like that.
He was basically threatening to do more harm to Sebastian other than what he had already done, which was to his reputation.
Sebastian loves Faith. Sebastian considers Faith his little sister. Sebastian has never touched, hurt, or harmed a hair on Faith's head.
So
And I can tell you guys,
that's what I need to know.
I spoke to Nina, which we all know who she is.
Yeah.
And if you heard Nina talk about how Faith feels about Sebastian, she
She's
misses
heartbroken.
She misses him dearly.
Yeah. I feel horrible for her. I mean, it's genuinely terrible for that child. I can only imagine what kind of effects this is having on her.
Don't feel too bad for Nina, though. I mean, Sebastian did ruin her vacation.
Too. So
Her words, not mine.
I've actually been keeping a close eye on that case as well. The custody battle that's going on there. And I'm happy that for the most part it has not gone in any way in Chris's favor. But I think that's an important thing. And this is another thing that part of the reason it frustrates me. There's all these rumors going around about you, Seth. Meanwhile, there is an entry in the New Mexico court record saying that Chris Proudfoot needs to take parenting classes, conflict resolution classes. I think 24 and 12 hours. And he took them. He tried to fight it, but they forced him to take them. So I think, like, when we're sitting here tossing out rumors, he said, she said from 10 years ago. Meanwhile, just in the last couple of years, one of the people who lived in this house with Sebastian was told he had to take parenting classes if he wanted to see his daughter. That is extremely relevant. That is, especially when you can, let me get to the bottom of this one. Seth, when did the conversations about Sebastian coming to live with you begin?
2023.
Okay. With fall 2023, maybe.
2022, Seth.
Was it 2022?
2022.
Yep.
They wanted to come live with me. I'm all down for my son to come live with me.
Were you going to be sending him to any kind of, there was some talk that you guys were planning to send him to some kind of facility to spend some time there?
That wasn't until later.
Okay.
They wanted him to come live with me. I couldn't get him enrolled in online school. And as everybody knows, I work 12-hour shifts at night.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't allow me to get back here in time to make sure that he's up and ready for school.
Right.
So my idea was Clarksville, Tennessee has an online school system.
Mhm.
So that way the child can stay at home
Right.
and do his online classes. And he was supposed to be getting ABA therapy, and they were going to be doing in-home therapy.
Mhm.
So to me, it was easier if I could just get him into the online classes.
Okay.
I watched during COVID-19, he excelled in the online classes. So I wanted to set him up for success, not for failure.
Mhm.
And while he was doing the ABA until we got him where he needed to be up here.
Mhm.
And then by then I could have changed and done other things so that he would have been going to school,
Online school or in-person school?
in-person school.
Okay. So what is ABA therapy?
It's therapy for autistic children.
So the plan was, as I'm understanding it currently, that Sebastian was going to remain with the Proudfoots until he completed this therapy program.
No, he
No.
was staying with the Proudfoots until the end of the last school year, and then he would have been coming to stay with me.
Okay. So at no point was he being sent to any kind of boarding facility or anything like that.
They brought that up to me, that they were over his behavior and they were looking into sending him to a place.
Mhm.
And it was like, well, how long are you talking about? Is this going to be like summer program? You know, is he going to go for a couple months during the summer? You know,
He did, Roro.
and they were like, no, they were talking about in a live-in facility.
No, Aiden, were you asking what ABA meant is in the acronym?
I mean, yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's applied behavioral analysis is
Okay.
what it stands for.
gotcha. So basically, they were going to sit him down and work with him to get him up to speed so that he was in a position where he could go to public school, private school, maybe, and fit in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's
And
it's the help with the socialization part.
makes sense. I mean, and that would have been alongside everything else. I take it that wouldn't have been any kind of special inpatient facility. That would have just been something he did.
It would have been something he did, but where he was going to get it. They have a headquarters here in Clarksville.
Mhm.
So he would have been in home. They would came to the house, and they've been working with him for an hour or
Oh.
two every day.
Gotcha.
Oh, just keep him in the house all damn day then. He don't even get out to see the therapist. Homeschool, therapist comes to home. Wow. Don't want to see you get off your ass and have to take him anywhere and give him some socialization. But I'm sorry to be mean, but really, you cannot just lock a kid up in a house and be like, you're cool. You'll be cool. There's like no structure to this at all. There's just none. And I don't know what's up with Seth's eyes tonight, but man, they're giving me the heebies.
So as I'm understanding, it was Chris and Katie's idea to have Sebastian go live in kind of a live-in facility. And then you said, well, why doesn't he just come live with me?
He was already supposed to come live with me.
Okay.
But because I was the wait list to get into online education here in Clarksville, is a 6-month waiting list.
Gotcha.
All right.
Why?
So when I say he disappeared, I already had him enrolled here in Clarksville
Gotcha.
to begin the next school year, because that's how long. I mean, I had him enrolled. What?
Aiden, there was
December.
a report filed right before they decided that they didn't want to wait till May to get rid of him.
Mhm.
So there was a
A
report filed.
CPS report?
Correct.
This is the one where Chris hit him with a belt, correct?
I'm not sure if that's the one, but there was one filed.
That
right
was
before
one that happened
started-
years ago.
They started firing off, emails to Seth that they were going to put him, basically send him off to one of these behavioral centers. So, it appeared to me, in my opinion, to be
I don't believe that.
a retaliation for that report getting filed, that they weren't going to wait, 4 or 5 more months. They were going to go ahead and send him off, November, December.
All right. So just
I'm just lower
let
to
me
the
try and
list
recap a
of
little bit
it,
here,
too.
just for our sake and for the audience to make sure we're all on the same page. The process here is that Chris and Katie say they
Yeah.
are fed up with some sort of behavior from Sebastian. Was he just being rambunctious? Was this related to the thing Chris threatened you with?
Well, we can't get into all the family counseling reports.
Yeah.
But I can tell you in jest.
But they've told Laura Lodge shit. Like, see, you're not supposed to be giving these reports out, but you're giving them out to people that you want to give them out to. These creators. Now look at him. He's looking at the camera again.
He was suffering there.
Okay.
Yes. And he was having problems at school. Again, he just lived a different life over there, right? I mean, the 15-year-old child was wearing diapers, and it caused.
I hope, Tony, one of these days that your wife doesn't need to wear incontinence briefs. Or you. Because I hope that there's somebody around that calls them a diaper, that sees it and they call it and they point at you and they say, is that a diaper? Are you wearing a diaper? Because if I hear them call it a diaper one more time, I'm going to freaking freak out.
It's a lot of mental issues.
Someone get Tony on the phone. Let me talk to him.
This kid comes to live with his father, and There are no diapers. There are no accidents.
And that's what I was going to ask is, Seth, were there?
There's no medication. There's no what? There's no nothing over there. You don't get nothing over there. He's probably washing his sheets when his dad's at work. So his dad doesn't find out what's going on. Because if he is having a problem and his dad's not helping him with it, that's only hindering and hurting the problem. It's only making it worse. Only making it worse. And this is coming from somebody that I've dealt with, a relative that had trauma and had that problem. And she was a teen.
Did he need these diapers?
Not in my house.
So Chris and Katie put them in these diapers. Did they have a reason? Did they explain this to you?
He was having accidents. At one point in time, Chris was upset that I had sent him back to the house, not in a diaper, in actual underwear. And at another point in time, Chris got upset, so he gave me all of his underwear.
So Sebastian never needed diapers at your place, but
no.
Okay. So just get back to my recap here. So Chris and Katie approach you. They say, Sebastian, we can't take this behavior anymore. It's not working out at our house. We want to put him in a facility. And then, or they wanted to go live with you.
That was a phone call.
Okay. So what was the first thing, facility, or was the first thing go live with you?
First thing was come live with me.
Okay. So they approach you, they call you, they say, we can't take it anymore. We want Sebastian to come live with you. You say, well, right now my schedule.
They weren't at their quote unquote wits end.
Mm-hmm.
I was approached differently. I was approached on the basis of, hey, do you want what do you think about Sebastian coming to live with you? Mm-hmm. Send it.
Yeah. Did it seem like this was Chris's idea, Katie's idea, or a joint idea?
Before the information that I have now,
mm-hmm.
It was coming from Chris.
Okay.
The information that I have now,
it was a joint venture.
All right. We're really quickly and at this time,
How
had the question
Tony know
the
these
idea
things?
of putting him in online classes, had that already?
Even Tony shouldn't be privy to this information. Just because he's your buddy, you're not paying him. He doesn't work for you. He's just your friend. He said it himself. He doesn't work for you.
Had that ball already started rolling, or was that after that?
So where do these two guys work? Anywhere?
I was already working on that from the year before because they were like, hey, can't get him in now, but what you have to do is on this day, you need to call up, you need to go ahead and apply. So I was just waiting for time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting on dates so I could get applications put in. And then
this was after they suggested he go live with you.
No.
Yes.
Before. Wait,
that's why I was clarifying.
Okay, yeah, because that was my question.
They were at their wits' end with Sebastian's behavior.
Yep.
They approached Seth. They asked Seth, hey, can Sebastian come live with you? Seth, my understanding, you say, I would love to have him, but with my work schedule right now, I can't be home at the times I need to be home. Can you hang on to him for a year so I can get my schedule together?
Well, he was already in school.
Yeah.
And pulling him out of school is not. I didn't want to do any more detrimental. He was already in school. He needs to stay in school until the end of that. All right.
So you felt that it was best for Sebastian if he remained in that school, in that, not knowing necessarily everything you know now, but in that school, in that home, until you were able to get to a point where you could get him into online school and then adjust your schedule so that you could be home with him at the proper times.
Correct.
Okay. That's
now what happened in between that and the next school year was supposedly Sebastian got back on track and they didn't have a problem with him going to Beach High School.
Okay.
Now school year begins. He's there. Stuff gets worse at the house and it's affecting his behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting. I've already done everything I'm supposed to do. So now I'm waiting on the school system here to give me that acknowledgement that he's going to be into the online school. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden we want to send him into a facility, a program thing.
Okay.
And when they sent me that information, I was like, you're not going to send it. This place kids have died here. Mm-hmm. You're not going to send my son to any place where kids have died and have been abused.
Right.
Not knowing what's going on in that house as it was.
Right.
So when they approached me with that, I contacted a enrollment lady that dealt with a whole bunch of facilities for special needs and autistic children. And when I contacted her, I was like, listen, if they're going to do this, there needs to be animals there. There needs to be a good structure there. And it needs to be beneficial for Sebastian, not some facility. Mm-hmm. It needs to have actual hands-on with what's going on. And she sent me the list and I forwarded it to Katie and I never heard back.
Okay. So, and excuse me for rehashing this so many times. I just want to make sure that we really have the series of events nailed down. So 2022, they approach you about Sebastian coming to live with you, correct?
Yes.
You say that you need some time to get everything in order so that he can go to online school and that you can properly take care of him.
They contacted me. I said, yes. And the next thing I did was contact the school. Mm-hmm. The schools what told me that I'd be able to apply on these dates. And I let them know that.
Okay. So Proudfoot's come to you. They say, we want Sebastian to move in with you. You go to the school. You say, okay. You go to the school. The school tells you there's a 6-month wait list. You then go tell Proudfoots that there's a 6-month wait list. And because of your work schedule, you can't be home with Sebastian at proper times.
Because I'm like, well, it takes me an hour or so to get home. If he's got to be at school at 7, I get off at 7.
Right.
It takes me 8:30 for me to get home, depending on traffic. Well, again, then my son's late to school. That's detrimental to his learning program.
Right. So was it?
I was putting him in
So what happened
homeschooling.
next? After you find out that it's going to
Imagine being taught by Seth Rogers. I'm sorry, but
take some time for him to get into online schooling, what was the
this is
communication?
not. This wouldn't have been good for him.
I let him know, and then all of a sudden they're talking about setting into a facility and everything.
Gotcha. So it wasn't. They didn't. It sounds like they didn't want to wait. So when was the facility conversation? Was that 2023?
Yes,
That's 2023. And then you are getting him enrolled. He's good to go.
that was
for
December. That was December, I think. November or December of 2023.
November.
The,
It
November,
was
December.
November.
It was
So,
right before he went missing.
which is interesting because that's about the same time that Chris started trying to get custody of Faith again. Which, as you very well know,
Yes.
I think factors into this heavily.
Well, then just locking down the date. So the first time it comes up was 2022. You start going through that process, and then that's what you mentioned earlier, where after like a month or two, however long it was, things kind of died down from them because essentially things got better in their house. Things went back to business as usual, and then a year later is when they came back up. They started talking about the facility, things like that. Just want to make sure that we got that timeline right.
And Seth didn't know this, but they start talking to him in 2022 about Sebastian coming to live with him. First CPS report was filed on or around the same time in 2022.
Okay, so the implication there would be that this conversation happened because a CPS officer or agent visited the house.
Correct.
Okay, so
We have a very detailed timeline.
Yeah.
That's been created that shows cause and effect from the CPS reports for the behavior and the family counseling reports. And it's a very compelling story, to say the least.
So the way I'm understanding this, CPS incident. They approached Seth about Sebastian moving in with Seth. Seth says, yeah, sure, I'll take him, and starts working on getting him enrolled into schools, figuring out how it's going to work, all of that. School year comes. Sebastian is, I guess this would be the 2022-2023 school year. Sebastian is still with the Proudfoots. Things die down a little bit. And then things are good for most of 2023. And then at the end of 2023,
as far as he knew.
yeah, as far as you guys know. And then at the end of 2023, they start talking again. We can't take it anymore. We want Sebastian to move in with you. Sebastian still can't move in with Seth until he's properly enrolled in online school for the 2024-2025 school year.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think there's a key piece of information there. So you looked into the online schooling from the initial conversation, and then when they told you things were okay now, we're comfortable with him going to that high school, then you had no reason to continue to pursue it. So when they brought it up again, you then had to go back onto the wait list to get him into the online school.
When they brought it back up to me, I had stayed in it.
So you did stay.
I stayed in it. So I had him already registered for the 24-25 school year.
But you
Got
didn't want to pull him out of school midway through the year.
Correct.
Got it.
Is this a bunch of
they
word
approach you
salad?
About the CPS incident, they say, hey, we want him to go live with you. Seth says, yes, he can come live with me. Let me get him on the wait list and enroll.
Someone send this guy a whiteboard.
He gets through a little bit more of that school year. They decide, all right, you know what, it's okay. 2023. So you don't have him enrolled for 2023, 2024 because he's still living with them. And then you enroll him for 2024, 2025 when they approach you at the end
I have never seen Seth's sister either.
of 2023.
Correct.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, calendar year 2023, not the school year.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So then the
Why
plan
does
is
he
that he will
stop
finish out
talking?
the 2023, 2024 school year with the Proudfoots, and then he will move in with you, I assume, over the summer. And then he will start with the Clarksville school district that
Yes.
you had him enrolled in.
Moving in May.
So I think that's a very important timeline for I think everybody to know about. Especially now that, of course, you know, I understand you guys can't share the details of these DCS reports, but I think that is a very important thing for people to know, that this was a conversation that was not just, you know, hey, we think he'd be happier at his dad's, but we can't take it anymore. We need him out of here. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about the diapers. None of them are good, and for that reason, I'm going to refrain from talking about that while you guys are on here, because I don't want to cause unnecessary pain. But moving into the actual timeline of the disappearance, because this is another thing that I think people have brought up. Seth, when was the last time Sebastian spent the weekend with you before he disappeared?
The weekend before.
Okay, so you saw him the weekend before he went missing. So the
No. I saw him. Yeah, the weekend before he went missing.
The 18th.
All right. Do you know when the last time Chris saw him was?
I don't.
Okay.
He didn't.
What was that? What was that weekend like?
You know that, Lisa?
What, with him here?
Yeah, you and Sebastian the last time he was there.
Let's see, I think we ordered pizza on Friday night. I think we went over to my buddy's house on Saturday, played pool in the arcade that they've got over at their house. That was Saturday, and then Sunday back at the house. I think we played 4 or 5 games of Magic, and then that morning, well,
Magic the Gathering?
Yeah.
I know it.
Okay.
I know it. I'm not making fun of you. I used to play.
I still do. I mean,
I'm not.
Sebastian,
I'm going down to do a giant LARP event this week. So
live action roleplay.
yeah,
You
you're
play
not going to hear
vampire
any
or-
laughter from me aside from like, I get it. I'm there.
Yeah,
with
like
you."
the communal spirit.
Well,
That was very much like I get it.
Sebastian's got the core books for D&D. I bought those for him. Not only did I buy them for him, but I bought him.
Oh my God. Okay. I cannot stand listening to two grown men talk about a freaking card game like Dungeons and Dragons.
You probably smell better than the ones that weren't on the spectrum.
He knows what deodorant and soap was, and I tell you, hey, D&D night, it's like COVID-19. Wear a mask because sometimes they just. I mean,
Well, you guys are losing your audience fast.
Yeah. Why are you talking about the way that people smell? Because I think Katie mentioned that, Sebastian was a little stinky because he was in his little stinky air. And everyone was throwing fits about that shit.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but these are
It's just, I don't get
important
it.
things
I
about
don't get
Sebastian.
it.
Also, I mean,
this is what me and Sebastian did. This is what when he was here. If we weren't fishing, we were playing Magic. We were going out and doing things. And it's just
Like
like
what?
one of the things that gets me is that everybody in my neighborhood, my neighbor, they know Sebastian. If me and Sebastian go to Walmart, the people that work at Walmart know my son. And this is
Sebastian knows
before
them?
he went missing.
And he knows them. He knows their names?
How does somebody know? Nah. That's hard to believe. I mean, genuinely, I've been going to this Target over here for 6 years, every day. Y'all know how much I go over there, right? And I just now had a lady tell me that I was one of her regulars the other day. And I go through this self-checkout line every day, and she's right there. There she is. There I am. Hello, hello. I don't know. I think Seth is making up some stuff just to make
He
it
doesn't know
sound
their name, but
better.
he knows that
I
that's the
don't know.
lady that slices the lunch meat really good. All right. So, and it's just people that he interacted with, and then nobody in that neighborhood interacted with my son. What kind of structure is that?
Well, that's what I was just going to say is, the stuff we heard from Chris and Katie was that
But the people at Walmart where you live did, so that makes it all better.
Sebastian didn't really have any friends. He wanted them, but didn't know how to make them. He didn't really talk to anybody. But it also sounds like they weren't really trying to enrich him. They weren't taking him to Magic the Gathering tournaments. They weren't taking him to D&D night.
No. And when Katie said that Sebastian said
Oh, with Seth? No.
that he wanted friends for Christmas. Well, that's not what he told me he wanted for Christmas.
What did he tell you he wanted for Christmas?
All he wanted to do was a road trip to Texas to go see his Mima and his Pat Pat. That's it. Because
Little boys are probably going to tell their moms something like that more than they would tell their dads. My personal opinion.
didn't get to go the year before.
Right. Did he have like, I mean, maybe friends in the common sense wouldn't be the right word for it, but did he have friends where you were? Was he able to interact with people?
There's no kids around here. They're all adults. But when we went to D&D night, there's 3 adults and then the other are all kids.
Yeah.
Like his age kids. Parents drop him off for D&D. So he's interacting with children that are his age.
And so
I want to know how many times he went to D&D night, and I'm just curious, like how many times did he go? Did he meet somebody there at one of these Dungeon and Dragons nights? Could this be where he met somebody and got lured out of the house? Let's go play Dungeon and Dragons. Don't put your shoes on. It would be like we're out in the mystical, forest. I don't know.
Doing that?
Yeah, he played a barbarian.
There's a lot of people in the chat right now who are going to get exactly why that's funny. And a lot more who won't. Oh boy. Yeah, we did a one shot
Tony over there. You're pissing Tony off. Tony's not getting the spotlight anymore.
about a month and a half ago where, what did I get? I was
There goes the phone. He
something
took
I do not.
the phone out.
Look at Tony. Tony's like, I have no idea what they're
Yeah,
talking about.
I always played Bard.
Yeah,
He had me when he was talking about fishing, and then he lost me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll kind of bring it back. But yeah, so I mean, but I think this is good. This is the stuff people need to know. They need to know that Sebastian wasn't a low functioning kid with autism who could barely express himself and was awkward around everybody. He was a kid who could go and play Dungeons and Dragons, which is an incredibly social game.
Oh,
I
extremely.
mean, with kids his own age, with you and your friends, these are important things for people to know about this child because it tells a different side of the story. The side of the story we've had this whole time is that he was a loner and he didn't get along with people and he had incontinence issues and everything. And everything I'm hearing right now is that Sebastian, they weren't they weren't taking care of Sebastian. They were keeping Sebastian manageable to themselves. They were. That's what it sounds like to me.
Aiden, let's
That's
just
how children grow.
yeah, let's just
I mean, he was able to go to school every day and get through school.
we've laid all the cards out on the table tonight. I think you guys would agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's just continue to lay the cards on the table. You guys have both Aidens have probably had pets at some point, correct? Dogs, etc.
I have two.
Have you ever rescued a dog before?
Rescued a cat, technically. Well,
Yeah, I rescued a
girlfriend and
dog.
I
What's
did
it
rescue
do?
a
Yeah.
rescue. She started the rescue, but then she moved in 3
Multiple.
weeks later. So
yeah, my girlfriend and I adopted a cat that just kind of wandered up to the house one day and kind of claimed us.
mhm,
So
cats
So
go.
if you rescued let's just say a dog, a puppy, etc., that's been beat, that's been abused, whatnot, and then you bring it into a good home for a long time, when you reach down to pet that dog, what does it do?
It's skittish, runs away, or
It
snaps
flinches.
at you.
What else does it do?
Pees itself pretty frequently.
Correct. There you go.
That's yeah. That's along the lines of what I meant when I was saying I didn't want to go too deep into it with the incontinence, but yeah, that's
That's
like,
the heartbreaking part.
everything to me just sounds like it was an abusive situation. Which I mean does give reason for him to run away.
but as you were laying out earlier, Seth,
Oh
the only
my God.
logic behind the way in which he could have run away, if that were the scenario, would be under something that would be a kind of
Basically, like
dire
a-
situation, at least by his perception. And in that instance, like you said, there would have been to some extent.
It sounds like there could have been an ongoing issue and then a straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Which I mean I got angry at my parents and ran down the block several times when I was a younger man. So
Seth, you made the comment that Sebastian had never done anything to harm Faith. And of course, we know that from talking to Nina, but he had never done anything to harm any child for that matter, had he?
No. I taught my son that we're men.
Mhm.
Men are protectors. We protect
So he never harmed another child? Well, now I'm really confused because I thought that
those that are dear to you, that you love.
I'm so
Sure.
confused.
yeah, I
Did he just compare Sebastian to a dog? I didn't hear it. Oh gosh, we'll go back a couple minutes. I didn't hear it.
So
cats
So
go.
if you rescued let's
Oh,
just say
yeah,
a dog, a puppy,
you did.
etc.,
Yeah.
that's been beat, that's been abused, whatnot, and then you bring it into a good home for a long time, when you reach down to pet that dog, what does it do?
It's skittish, runs away, or
It
snaps
flinches.
at you.
What else does it do?
Pees itself pretty frequently.
Correct.
I've adopted dogs. I've adopted Araya. I've adopted my dog Adrian. I adopted my dog Katie. I adopted Sammy off the streets and Dixie. And let me tell you, it does happen. Dogs do get scared and they go pee. But normally that's not why they're peeing. It's not because they're scared. Normally dogs pee when they're excited. Like, I've never seen a dog that scared. So maybe I just haven't seen it, but I adopted a dog that was spending 16 hours a day in a bathroom and had no water and no food. And this dog was like petrified of people and never peed. Never peed.
There you go.
That's yeah.
That's not what I would ever. I mean, I would say she gets excited she would pee, but not like scared.
That's along the lines of what I meant when I was saying I didn't want to go too deep into it with the incontinence. But yeah, that's
You have a Dixie
That's
too?
the heartbreaking part.
everything.
I had a
Everything to
Dixie.
me.
I had a dog named Dixie. I had to get rid of her when I got in my car accident, only because I wasn't able to take care of her because I was in a wheelchair afterwards.
Just
So,
sounds like it was an abusive
but I hope
situation
she's somewhere really nice. I'm
which I
sure
mean
she
does-
is. My brother
does
took
give
her,
reason
took her somewhere.
for him to run away.
but as you were
Mm.
laying out earlier, Seth, the only logic behind the way in which he
Walking
could have run
territory,
away, if
yeah.
that were the scenario, would be under something that would be a kind of
Basically, like
dire
a-
situation, at least by his perception. And in that instance, like you said, there would have been to some extent.
It sounds like there could have been an ongoing issue and then a straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Which I mean I got angry at my parents and ran down the block several times when I was a younger man. So
Seth, you made the comment that Sebastian had never done anything to harm Faith. And of course, we know that from talking to Nina, but he had never done anything to harm any child for that matter, had he?
No. I taught my son that we're men.
Mhm.
Men are protectors. You protect those
We're
that
men.
are dear to you, that you love.
Mhm.
Period.
We don't wear diapers. We're men.
yeah,
We don't take medicine. We're men.
I I'm dealing with a lot of emotions right now. I apologize.
Me too, Laura
We've only
Lodge.
barely scratched the surface, I'm sure, as compared to what you're dealing
Look
with.
at him. He's y'all. I'm just dealing with a lot of emotions right now. Get off your phone. Like that is like, I mean, are you kidding? I'm dealing with a lot of emotions, and you pick up your phone. Who you talking to, Lord Lodge? Who's so important? I better be your mama.
On your end.
No, it ain't. He's smiling like that ain't his mama. I don't know who he look. Now why is Tony looking down? What is going on here?
We've got till 8:30 tonight, guys, and we've
Yeah.
got to be off by then.
That works.
trying to because I've covered, essentially everything that I wanted to ask.
I think so one of the reasons I think it's important that we talked about what life was like for you and Sebastian at your house, and hearing a lot of these positive stories kind of helps the audience and anybody.
Okay, we didn't hear any positive stories about Sebastian tonight. We didn't hear nothing. Stay with the packet questions. Yeah. Man, y'all, that was pretty brutal. Listen to that twice in a row. Oh, I'll never do that again. I wasn't lying when I said I don't like the Boar Lodge. I'll just tell. I'm exhausted. I think I'll just wait until next time when it's over with, and then I'll come live and we'll all watch it together for the first time. Because I was in there, but yeah, the hand signals, the looking at the phone, man. And why do these people feel like they have some sort of right to have some sort of like recommended question packet that they get? I don't know. It's just weird. And then you've got everybody's live over this. Everybody. Let's refresh and go to the live tab. I mean, I would have waited until tomorrow. I didn't realize everyone was going to go live tonight. I should have just waited until tomorrow. But we got Jays for Justice is live. Well, Everyday with Jay. She's on our Everyday with Jay channel. Nonsense. But she's not talking about this. She's talking about Brittany. Queen Bee. You got Dolly Vision. BJ. Criming Shame. And Clutch Them Pearls was on there, but I don't see him now. But I'm not subscribed to him, so he could be live. I just don't know it. But yeah, there's a lot of people. Lots and lots of people. And then there was a video that came out today that was kind of funny. Maybe we'll watch that later. That was a lot. That was 2 hours and 17 minutes. And we were on 1.5 speed. Wow. Well, thank you guys for being awesome. You didn't miss anything. Yeah, they just want to hurl insults. Yep. Yeah, they were naming creators. I was like, what the heck? What? Oh, yeah, right. Nash, yeah. I know. They put Jack Showalter in there. Like, are you guys crazy? And if you didn't get to see my shirt tonight, I'll stand up again so y'all can see this. This is for Betty. If anyone could get Betty the message, no, Betty, I will not send you the shirt. I won't. Spend a pretty penny on this thing. A little more than the 5 cents the gum were. Did I like the cherry kind? I like the cherry kind. Yeah. I don't like the bubble gum kind. Bubble gum. Yeah. You're going to go drink some green tea? I should drink that kind of stuff. I have literally 2 of these like huge bins full of green tea from Vincent Small. Yeah, Betty, I got this just for her. Dum-dums. Oh, she just loves to call everyone dum-dums. And I saw this sweater. And then the next day when I went to go get it, I didn't even know if it was my size or not. And it was my size. I was like, well, I had to get it. Vincent was like, do you want the shirt? He's like, because we're like fighting over whether to get it. I'm like, should I buy this shirt? Should I buy it? He's like, do you like it? I'm like, I think I'll probably wear it a lot. It's pretty soft. But thank you guys for being here. Cheers to y'all that are having your either your booze or your sleepy time tea or your green teas. I'll be drinking chocolate milk. I love chocolate milk. But I'll be back on tomorrow. I want to do a day live so bad. Today I was not feeling good. Knock on wood, it wasn't a sickness. It was just a little bellyache. But like I just said the other day, I don't ever get sick. So pray for me, knock on wood, whatever you guys do, make sure I don't get sick. But no, I'm feeling much better now. I was just like all day, I was just felt like so like low energy. And I wanted to come on and do a live so bad with you guys. And I was just like, I can't even muster up anything. So we will do a live tomorrow night, of course. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you. If I find anything else out that's noteworthy, I will make sure I put it on the community tab. But yeah, everybody have a great, wonderful evening. And I'll see you guys all here back again tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to live this out. We got this far, don't know